I think we're live. I don't know. I can't tell. It's not showing up, but I think we are live. We've got a little bit of a delay here, so I'm going to assume we're live on this Saturday night, September 30th, 2023. Is tomorrow August or October 1st? I think it is. I think tomorrow's October 1st, isn't it? Oh, well. It is Sunday, October 1st. Okay, that's cool. I mean, not really, but I guess there's nothing you can do about it. I hate to see summer go because Minnesota is awesome. So beautiful in the summer and the fall, too. But October 1st means we got maybe another month before snow starts. So, anyway, it always takes a drastic change here in Minnesota, starting in October. Starts to get really cold. Anyway, I hope y'all had a wonderful Saturday, wonderful day. I did. That is so weird. I'm gonna show you something. It says I've been going for a minute and a half, and my stream has not started. Look at that. Still waiting for me. But it says I've been going 1 minute and 45 seconds. Started streaming. It's just weird it hasn't come on. Might have to refresh it. Give it. I've never had to do this, but I'm gonna try to just to make sure I'm really going. Oh, I am live. Well, thanks, Jay. It doesn't say I'm live. It says I'm still waiting. Anyway, thanks. Good to see you tonight, Jay. Hope your Saturday was good. Hope all is well in Chaysville. This is beginning shortly. Huh. All right, I guess it is. I am live. That's good, good, good. Anyway, my dad just called and he said that my dad just called and said that his friend Justin is down in Minneapolis. He's on the roof of the hospital because his daughter is about to have a double lung transplant. I think she's probably in her 40s or 50s. She's about to have a double lung transplant. And I said, you know why he's on the roof? It's because that's where the Lifelink helicopter comes in with the lungs. And then she's in the prepped right now in the pre-op, getting ready to get a new set of lungs. And you know what I told my dad back in the 90s? I worked in a doctor's office through the 80s and the 90s up until the early 2000s. And I remember in the 90s, I was sitting in the lunchroom and eating lunch with the surgeon. And I asked him, I said, you know, you guys can do, it was a doctor that I worked with, you know what I mean? So anyway, I asked him, I said, you know, you guys can do all these transplants. How come you can't transplant lungs? I mean, everybody dies from lung cancer and all these lung stuff. Why can't you transplant lungs? He said, we just can't do it. They just won't take, you know what I mean? Anyway, obviously, 30 years later, things have changed. And so my dad's friend's daughter is getting a double lung transplant right now from somebody who was just killed in an accident. Or no, somebody who was on life support. I don't know why, but they're on life support and they said goodbyes to the person and now their lungs are going into her. You see the Aura Bora? You're early? Yeah. Is it up and running? Huh. Okay, I think it's up and running. It's yeah. Yeah, God bless them, right? That's why I said that's that's when the helicopter comes that lands on the roof. It belongs from a different state, somebody in a different state. You know what's weird? He said it was Texas. And that's where my grandson got his kidney, in Texas, from a guy who was killed, I think, in a motorcycle accident. I can't remember. But a guy was killed, a young man, and they flew his kidney to Minnesota, and he had to be on the operating table, ready to go in a moment's time. It's running fine now. Okay, good. Yeah, so it was doing the death spin, huh? It was spiraling down the drain. Anyway, um, yeah. So anyway, we wish them well. Hope it goes good, and she has a new lease on life with her new lungs. And R.I.P. to whoever lost their life and was able to donate their organs. So anyway, yep, he's waiting for that helicopter to come in. That's why he's up there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the downward spiral. Yep. I think I drank all my water already. Did I? Oh, heck yeah. Mm. Just 1 second. You can hold the fort down. Oh, sorry, buddy. Oh, dog's all under my feet here. Sorry, man. You're all under my feet. Sorry about that. I thought I had. I just refilled it. I didn't know I drank it. I drink a lot of water. A lot of water. A lot of water. So I hope everybody's day went well. We're going to go over contradictions tonight. Very interesting. All right, sorry about that, buddy. Holding it down. Thanks for holding down the fort. All right, I got a big tumbler full of water. Mm. You know what? It is awesome. I'm drinking water out of my own well. But you know another good thing? It's free. I haven't had to pay for anything to drink in a year and a half, except for milk. I get a gallon of milk, but it goes bad before I can finish it. So if I get a half a gallon, it's not enough for the month. But if I get so anyway, I have about a glass of milk a week. About 1 glass of milk a week, maybe. Otherwise, yeah, it is real much. All right. Anyway, so I don't know if anything's new out in the world. I do not know. Sam, I am. But anyway, nice peaceful day here where I'm at, as always. Yeah, no water bill. Oh man, is that ever nice too? I'm telling you what. When I lived in the city and I had a water bill, dang, it got so expensive, and you have to pay like every 3 months, so it's 3 months at a time. And it just went up and up and up. And I could have never had a garden. I could have never watered all the gardening that I do right now if I had a water bill. Yeah, so that's good too. Hey, Grace, greetings, salutations to you too. Yeah, I've had no water bill for 5 years now. Yep, no water bill in 5 years. It's been awesome. And drinking healthy right out of the ground. Anyway, yeah, instead of drinking fluoridated, poison, toxic water at very expensive rates. Yeah. I remember back in the 70s My mom and dad built their own house. They designed it and built it in a new suburb in Maplewood, Minnesota when I was growing up. It was like in the late 60s. And they built their own house in a brand new neighborhood. Anyway, in about the mid 70s, the city of Maplewood came down and offered everybody city water, free hookups. They'll hook you up for free. And most of the people on the block did. My mom and dad pass, a hard pass on the fluoridated water. So anyway, I grew up with no fluoride, thank God. But a lot of people did take the city water, and they all complained about the taste. And also, they started getting a bill, a bill every 3 months. I didn't say, but the hookup was free though. But then, anyway, yep. So anyway, most people in my block had city water. We had well water. My parents had to buy big bags of 25 or 50-pound bags of salt rock, and that's just what we did. And then roll it down the steps of the basement. But at least didn't grow up with fluoride, so that's good. And I don't think they passed on it. I should ask my dad why they passed on it, but it's probably because it's a suckers game. Then you have to have a bill every month. And what about watering your grass and stuff? Yeah, I believe the hype that water is the new gold. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, just think of all those people. When I first moved up here, my son and I were in town. This is 5 years ago, and we stopped and got something to eat. When we were sitting in the car, getting ready to leave, it was early in the morning, really early. I don't know if we had to work. I can't remember what we were doing. But when I just moved here, maybe we were moving. I don't remember. But we just came to town and sitting in the parking lot eating. And early in the morning, there was a truck that came into and I didn't know what the water treatment was right next door. And we looked, and there was a truck coming in with like a tanker truck, and it had chemicals, all chemical signs. I've never seen so many triangle, rectangles, or those signs, those chemical signs. Yeah, unreal. And I thought, dang, that's the water treatment. Why would they bring in all those chemicals into a water treatment? And I didn't know about it back then. I didn't know what they did. But anyway, all those chemicals. And we were saying, like, why would they bring all these chemicals into the water treatment plant? Anyway, yeah, that was before I researched all that. Now I know why. Oh, yeah. We live close to a river, thankfully. Yeah. Yeah, but if you got your water out of the river, you'd have to sterilize it. You know what I mean? But at least, and to drink it and cook from. But what people don't realize, they treat the water so good. Oh, very good. Yeah, real good. Get everybody dumber and dumber by the minute. Every gulp, every glassful, they get dumber. That fluoride really does a number on people. That's what Hitler put in their in the concentration camp, in the water, fluoride, to make them docile, so the prisoner don't want to fight back or escape. And then that was like the main ingredient in Prozac, was fluoride. I just mean as a very oh yeah, for the river water, yeah. But yeah, a lot of people don't understand is that the drinking water is just a start. You have to have water to cook. You have to have water to clean. You have to have water for dishes. And it takes a lot of water for dishes, a lot. You have to wash them, then you have to rinse them in like another bucket or whatever. And to bathe in, oh my goodness. So the river would be perfect for bathing in. And you could bathe in it. You could bring water back. You could boil it to drink and to cook. You know what I mean? Bathing is like, yes. Oh, that is a lot. Yeah. I've been to it up here since I moved up here. twice I had to go without water when I first moved in, and then later when I was having something fixed. And I had to have a couple days without water, and yeah, you realize how much. And I've got an underground storage that's packed full of bottled water, and I'd never drink it, but anyway, it's been there for years. But tell you what, to have a kettle of water, it took like a 36 pack of bottled water, like 36 bottles to put in a kettle, and then and get that hot on the stove real hot, and then I'd put more in there, and then what I had to do is just like take a Kool-Aid pitcher and go in the bath and scoop that up and pour it over my head, and then you just like lather you up, your soap up your hair, get your wash your hair, and then pour some more over your head, and then very 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 careful with it. And if you have long hair like I do, oh man, it's hard to. It wouldn't be so bad if you had short hair, but I mean, with long hair, I had to use extra water. So, but it's still, man, it's a lot of water. And just to do dishes, at least, I mean, a 12 pack isn't going to give you much. 12 pack of bottles is not going to wash the dishes. You're going to have a 36 pack just to barely wash the dishes. Boil water and I put it in a kettle or a sink or whatever. And then you still have to have some more bottles of water to rinse. You know what I mean? So. They also offer fluoride treatments through the school system. You have to opt out. Your children will be treated. Really? Fluoride treatments in their mouth? Or do I not want to know? Yeah. Anyway, it takes up a lot of water. So, now Che and Grace have been here for a long time. So we have gone through the 194 contradictions before, maybe over the years, probably at least twice that I remember. This might be the third or the fourth time, so please bear with us. But there is new people who have been subscribing, so there's a lot of things that they haven't seen. So this is gonna be a repeat for us, but it will be new to a lot of people. And we're gonna deep dive into the New Testament contradictions tonight. And it's going to be a long series. It'll be several nights. So I figured, heck, I'm not even going to wait till Monday. We're going to do it. Start tonight, Saturday night. Right? Sounds good. Yeah, remember they want the kids to get fluoride treatment in their mouth for the teeth? Well, hey, Dee, good to see you tonight. Hope you're doing well also. You're doing good? Awesome. Welcome. Yep, Dee has seen the 194 contradictions, but we're going to go through them, and I'm going to do a commentary on each and every one. Anyway, yeah, good to see Dee tonight. Hope your weekend is going good. We're in the middle of the weekend right now on a Saturday night, so we are kicking back, chilling. It's 9:41 p.m. on Saturday night here. Tomorrow's October 1st. Wow. We got leaves changing big time. I might go to town tomorrow. Like about every 3-4 days, maybe, I don't know, 5 days I go to town. And it just is so much different each time. First it was just 1 or 2 trees that were red. Then it was a bunch of them. Now they're all red and orange and so many different colors. A lot happens in 4 or 5 days between my trips. So probably the whole trip to town is going to be full of fall colors. It is beautiful. Then they all fall off in the ground and it looks like crap. By Halloween, the trees are bare and it looks creepy like some Halloween picture. Anyway, and we have black cats that arch their backs all over the place. All right. But yeah, I just don't like that. I don't like at the end of October. It's just screaming, winter's coming. Nothing you can do about it. Well, except leave, go down south. That's maybe someday. I'll get a little piece of land and bring my driveway. Pull a camper down there. Me and my doggies will live down there for the winter till the coast is clear, and then we'll come back. That's what people do. They call us snowbirds. People think, yeah, how come all the old people do that? Well, now I know, because we're tired of the winter. That's why. I used to wonder the same thing. How come all the old people go so? Yeah, because we're tired of it. Sounds beautiful with the tea. Yeah, you know what I was thinking about doing? I gotta do this. I gotta do a video. Yeah, I should show you guys the beautiful colors. Yeah, it looks like a picture, like something on a calendar. But yeah, I should do a video on the way to town and back. Me and the doggies. It'll be our typical trip to town. They're so funny. My dogs are so funny. They love going to town and back. Anyway. And if it's early enough in the day, we see the cows. Because the cows, they say they do something till the cows come home. The cows do go home at like 6 o'clock. But if you get there before 6, you'll see the cows. My dogs like the cows. All right, so shall we begin? Yeah, it is. It is really pretty. But yeah, it would be nice to leave for the winter. You know what I mean? Come back in spring. Catch maybe one little snowfall or something. Or just in time to see it melt. That's what my parents used to do. My dad would come back right in time for tax season and in time to do his taxes and to see this on April 14th and see the snow melt. Good timing. Put that back a little bit. All right. Check my. Move that back a little bit. There we go. All right. Exposing contradictions in the Bible. This is what we're going to do tonight. For the next. Well, this will be a series. We're starting a series. Because, yeah, there's 194 that we're going to go through, and we're probably going to get through, I don't even know, depends, between 10 to 15 or maybe 20 a night. I mean, 20 at the most, 10, I guess at least 10. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It depends because each contradiction is a little different. And some of these, I'm going to say. So we have we have 194 contradictions, and some of them are contradictions, like opposites. Like there's no way that these two things can both be true. But there's some things that I'm going to say both are true. I think there are some on this list that I could say, it's not really a contradiction because anyway, we'll do that when we'll go over that when we get there. But some of these things, I'm trying to get it big enough to where you guys can see it. This is a PDF, so I can't. It'll go off the page if I get it any bigger. Something like that. All right. Maybe that'll be better. So, yeah. So we have 194 contradictions. I'm going to. Come on, get out from under there if you want to get out. There you go. Grand Central Station here. 194 contradictions. Like I said, now some are going to be contradictions, some are going to be minor, and some are going to be major. There's going to be little ones like, was it before they did that or after? Well, sometimes that's not a big deal. Sometimes it is a big deal. And some are going to sound like a contradiction, but I can explain some of them as not being a contradiction because some of these are, some of these would be like something would be referencing before you die. Like, oh, everybody can be forgiven if they call on the name of the Lord. And then other ones will say like, Lord, Lord, let me in. And he said, no, depart from me. So you'd say, wow, can people be forgiven or can't they? Well, before they die and after they die are two different things. So in this case, both could be true. Yes, anyone who calls on the name of the Lord to be saved. But on the same token, once you die, they're going to bang on the door, say, Lord, Lord, and all that. So sometimes it won't be a contradiction. I forgot what the name of it. Patrick Preliminal said the word. I can't remember. There is a word for it that it's not really a contradiction. It's actually, there's in some cases, two things can sound like a contradiction, but they can both be true. And I've gone over that before too. So sometimes, yeah, you say, wow, that, like I've used the example before. I'm going to try to get this a little closer. I've used the example before. Like I could say, I worked in my garden all day. And then later I could say, why, I saw my friend at the store tonight. Well, or I saw my friend at this when I went to the store today. They say, hey, you worked in the garden all day. He said, well, maybe both true. I worked in the garden all day and then went to the store. Or went to the store before I walked in. You know what I mean? So sometimes it'll sound like somebody's contradiction, especially when it's written down like this. But other times you can explain that, sometimes both can be true. But you know what? In these 194 contradictions, not many of them are where they both can be true. Almost, I'll say most of these 194 contradictions are contradictions. Not where, well, and like I say, some are major contradictions and some are small contradictions, I guess. But listen, if this is a perfect word of God, there should be no contradictions. Well, hey, Salim, how you doing tonight? I haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you. Welcome. I hope you and your family are all doing well. I hope you're all safe and everything's going good for you. Good to see you. Good morning to you. I imagine it's morning where you're at, huh? You live in Bangladesh still? Bangladesh, I think. Where it should be morning there, I think. Yeah, anyway, welcome, Salim. Hope you had a good day and I hope everybody's doing well. Hope your studies are doing good and all that kind of stuff. All right. Oh, I was going to put the link for this. This is a PDF on here. I'm going to copy and paste it. 194 contradictions. I'm going to put this up in the chat. You were sick? Oh, are you better now? Here is the link for the New Testament contradictions. You're well now? Good. Good to hear that, Salim. I hope everybody's doing well in your family. Very good. All right. All right. Look at this thing. Bangladesh morning at 5:52 a.m. Wow, you're up early. Wow, good morning. You're up very early. Anyway, welcome. Bangladesh is 5:52 a.m. Wow. All right. Well, good morning. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. Let me think. Yeah, it's 5:50 Sunday morning, right? Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day today. Salim, welcome back, brother, from Che. Yeah, good to see you, Salim. Like I said, I hope your family's doing well too. I hope everybody is safe where you are at. You're still in the Rohingya it's a concentration camp. I can't remember what it was called. Settlement camp. Oh, I'm trying to go to USA by India by cop. Oh, really? Well, I hope it. Yes, we will keep you in our prayers. Well, I hope it works out, Salim. If it's God's will, it'll be done. Stay safe, and I'm sure your family will be very proud of you. Oh, where's my chat? Nothing does not want to load up right now. One of American Man is helping me go to India in college fee. Oh, nice. Very nice. I'm glad somebody got you some help there. Yeah. All right. There's a link for this website, the 194 contradictions. It's actually not a website, it's a PDF. All right. I think we're ready to go. Yeah. Well, congratulations, Shalima. I hope everything works out well. Hope it works out good. I'm glad you got some help. You're my family. Yes, you're in our family too, Slim. We thank you for coming and telling us. That's some good news. Yeah, miss you guys. We missed you too. We missed you too. We're always happy to see you. We're happy to see you. We missed you too, Slim. We're happy you got some help. Yeah, very good to see you tonight. Let me get a little closer here. See if I can maybe put it here. Is that going to work? That might be a little too close. All right. Hopefully, you guys can see that. Yeah, everyone missed you too, Salim. It's always good to hear from you. Glad to hear you're safe and everything. And your family. Refugees camp. That's what it was. Refugee camp. Rohingya. All right. Well, good to see you. And that's some good news for us to hear, Salim. We're happy for you. All right. So let's do this. We're going to start out here. Number one. Best place to start is the beginning, right? Quote from Wizard of Oz. The Yellow Brick Road. All right. Yeah, so we're going to start at the beginning here of the 194 contradictions in the New Testament. It starts with number one, and this is Jesus's lineage was traced through David's son Solomon in Matthew 1:6. Now, we just went over this. So Jesus's lineage was traced through David's son Solomon in Matthew. And then in Luke, Jesus' lineage was traced through Nathan in Luke. Now, this is just the beginning of this genealogy problem. Now, we just went over this. Oh my goodness, this problem is huge. Matter of fact, so first off the bat, the original gospel is Mark, and it doesn't have anything about the genealogy. And John never said anything about the genealogy either at a much later date. But somehow Matthew and Luke decided that they're going to prove that Jesus is from the bloodline of David, to be because the Messiah has to come from the bloodline of David, King David, down through Solomon. And that's a big problem because now just remember, Matthew always is much more. Matthew's the only one that knows anything about Jewish law. Mark, Luke, John know nothing about Jewish law. Matthew isn't perfect, but he knows a couple things. And one thing that Matthew does know is that the Messiah has to be traced through David down through Solomon. Matthew knows that. Luke doesn't. So Luke traces Jesus' lineage from David's son Nathan on down, and that's a huge problem because that immediately disqualifies Jesus as being the Messiah. Now remember, we went through this not that long ago about these genealogies, how messed up they are. Neither one of Matthew's or Luke's matches up with the Old Testament genealogy whatsoever. And then Matthew tries to make a case how special Jesus' bloodline is by saying there's 14 generations from Abraham to David, and 14 more from David to Babylon, and 14 from Babylon to Jesus. And that's ridiculous. For one thing, this list is not a correct genealogy list whatsoever. It does not list, and I can't remember if it's in Kings. I can't remember where. There's a couple times in the Old Testament where they have the genealogy from Abraham. They even had the genealogy um, all the way back. I don't know if it's in Genesis, but they have one going all the way back from Adam and Eve. And so you can take those old bloodlines and they do not match this. As a matter of fact, just to fudge them, so not only are the names screwed up, but also they repeat one just to make sure it's 1414. So on this one, Jehonias is Jeconius. They repeat Jeconius twice. And this Matthews, doesn't even get close to Luke's, because here's Luke. Oops. No, not the one I wanted. Here, this one. So Luke, if you compare Matthew and Luke, they're totally different. Goodness. But Matthew does go from David through Solomon. Okay. And that's one of the reasons why they're so different, because Luke goes from David through Nathan. And you cannot have the Messiah cannot come from Nathan. Not only that, but is it Luke? I think Luke adds what Matthew or Luke adds like 5 women to the genealogy, and they're all 5 of them are sexual impropriety reputations, like Rahab the prostitute, or the one who had to pretend she was a prostitute to get pregnant by Judah. Mary, who was pregnant out of wedlock. Because one of them does end with Mary, and you can't do it. That's another thing you cannot do. But we've gone all through this. I'm not going to keep going through it. And then sometimes they will actually. So see, in this one, they do not repeat Jeconia twice, but they repeated somebody else twice. But anyway, you just look these Matthew and Luke. So to say that their genealogies don't match is an understatement. So depending on who's doing, and then the Joseph in one of them ends with Joseph, Mary's husband, and the other one is Joseph, Mary's dad. So anyway, we've gone over that a lot. But anyway, so to say that that's a contradiction, that starts out, that's a huge one to start out with there. Because actually in reality, neither one of them is right. So the genealogy, both of them trying to prove that Jesus is the Messiah through, well, like boast his case for it through the bloodline. Nah. They actually proved he wasn't by doing that. So, and not only that, but if you go over a step further, if you say that Jesus is God and his dad is God and not Joseph, then he's immediately can't even have a family tree, because daddy has to come from David down through Solomon. So daddy cannot come from God. He can't be God, because then you can't trace his bloodline. So if you say he's God, he's out of the race. If you use these 2 lineages, he's out of the race. So they should have just not said nothing. And by the way, Paul, okay, so Mark, the original, Matthew does not mention Jesus' bloodlines. John, the later one, doesn't. And guess who else? Paul never says anything about Jesus' bloodline or virgin birth or none of that stuff. Paul wrote all his letters first. All right. And you think after, you think he'd mentioned the virgin birth, right, Paul? You're right. Anyway, number 2, the announcement of the special birth came before the conception. Remember in Luke. And I got a lot to explain about this. The announcement of the special birth came after the conception in Matthew. Now, this one you'd think, and maybe it's not that big of a deal. Did the angel come before Mary got pregnant and told Mary about it? Or did the angel come after Mary was already pregnant and said, by the way, you're pregnant because that is a contradiction, but it goes further than this. It goes deeper than this. Yeah, I'll go into that right now. This goes deeper into this because as you watch these contradictions and watch and as you read Gospels, remember one thing. Remember that the author of Luke, whoever wrote Luke, is propping up Mary on a huge pedestal. Okay. So the author of Luke, the Gospel of Luke, puts Mary super important. The Gospel of Matthew makes Joseph the important one in the story. So just watch that when the whole time you read Luke, they're going to be propping Mary up. The whole time you read Matthew, they're going to prop up Joseph. All right. Now, so in the gospel, and you're going to see this over and over and over. Now, which is reminding me, the announcement of the special birth came before the conception. This is in Luke. Now, what happened in Luke? In Luke, the angel came to Mary, okay? Because Mary's important in Luke. So before Mary got pregnant, the angel came to Mary in Luke and told her, you're going to have this special baby. Well, you're going to have a baby. In Matthew favors Joseph. So in Matthew, the announcement, the angel went and told Joseph. So in Matthew, Joseph is propped up. So the angel always talks to Joseph in Matthew, and the angel talks to Luke in Luke. I mean, the angel talks to Mary in Luke, and the angel talks to Joseph in Matthew. Through the whole thing. So in Luke, the angel comes and tells Mary before she's pregnant. And in Matthew, the angel comes and tells Joseph after she's pregnant. All right. Next, Jesus's parents were told of their son's future greatness in Matthew and Luke. All right. Yeah, so both of their parents were told in Matthew and Luke. But also in Luke, it's a little contradiction of Luke on his own self, because in Luke, Jesus's parents knew nothing of their son's potential. And this is in the very next chapter. So one chapter, Luke agrees that they knew nothing about it. But then the next chapter, Luke, Mary and Joseph are informed that Jesus is going to be real special. And I'm going to get more further into that as we go down the list here. Now, in Matthew, just like I said, Matthew, this is why there's contradiction. So in Matthew, the angel told Joseph. Why? Because Matthew favors Joseph, puts him on the pedestal. Luke, the angel told Mary in Luke. Why? Because Luke puts Mary on the pedestal. Okay, so watch that. There's a theme through the whole book. Next, number 5. There were 28 generations from David to Jesus in Matthew 1:17. Why? Because we saw they fudged the numbers. In Luke, there was 43 generations from David to Jesus. All right, that's double. I mean, not quite, but that's a huge difference. I mean, if you were off by 1, it wouldn't be God's perfect word, but they're off by 28, 38, 39, 44, they're off by 15. There's 15 generation contradictions here. All right. And Luke is favoring Mary, and Matthew is favoring Joseph. Number 6. Jacob was Joseph's father in Matthew 1:16. Or Heli was Joseph's father in Luke. And we went over this contradiction just like a couple weeks ago. Yeah, in Luke, Mary's father's name is Heli. And in Matthew, they specifically say that Mary's father's name was Heli. And in Matthew, let's see, Heli was Joseph's father. And yeah, not Mary's father, Joseph's father. So Heli was Joseph's father in Luke, and Jacob was Joseph's father in Matthew. So that was on that genealogy chart. Number 7. Here's another big one for now here's where not only is a contradiction, but here's something I'm going to call out as a false prophecy in Matthew. So in Matthew 1, 2, 3, remember they said it is prophesied that a Savior would be born, and he was to be called Emmanuel. He was to be called Emmanuel in Matthew. You see that? Emmanuel? Wrong. Here, I'm just going to go. But then later, look, 2 verses later, they said that the baby was born, they called him Jesus. Well, first of all, I thought he was supposed to be called Emmanuel. Now, that is one of the many times that Matthew, Mark, Luke, John will quote Old Testament and try to twist it and turn it into Jesus. Because I'm going to real quickly go over this because this is really important. Let me see here. Here, who was Emmanuel prophesied? It was back in Isaiah. What they're trying to say is they're trying to make it seem like Jesus, they plucked this Isaiah verse out of Isaiah chapter 7 and try to apply it to Jesus, which they can't. Because first of all, Emmanuel doesn't even start with the E, it starts with the I. Emmanuel. In Isaiah, is a sign for God's people that they will see victory over their enemies. Despite the doom and devastation, God will be with them. That's what Emmanuel means, God with us. People say, that's Jesus. No, it isn't. For one thing, he never got called Emmanuel. And by the way, like I said, they spelled his name wrong. It's Emmanuel. And guess what? This prophecy was already fulfilled. Yes. Isaiah, despite the doom and devastation, God will be with them. That's what Emmanuel means. And they will be victorious. Well, this happened already. Isaiah's son was a first, imperfect version of Emmanuel, pointing to God's victory over military enemies through his presence. Now, there actually was it was King Hezekiah was Emmanuel. He was the one. So first, Isaiah had a son. He really wasn't the Emmanuel. Then King Hezekiah had the son. So who is Emmanuel? Right here. Who is Emmanuel in Isaiah chapter 7? Watts affirms that Emmanuel, with the I, is the son of King Hezekiah, and the virgin is Ahaz's wife. Now, back in the Old Testament, virgin means young woman like childbearing. So if they say a virgin will have a son, that means a young woman will have a son. That means that, guess what? Abraham and Sarah wasn't that woman prophesied, was it? Because she's not a young woman. So they specifically say a young woman will have this baby. So if somebody say, hey, maybe Sarai, she's the baby. No, she's an old lady. So anyway, virgin means young lady. I think it's Beulah or I can't remember, some of the B. Anyway, so yeah, that was King Hezekiah's son. So anyway, that's one of many times that they screw with the Old Testament prophecy and try to twist and turn it and make it into Jesus. So he was to be called Emmanuel. That's what Matthew threw in there. Again, trying to make you think that this is a prophecy from the Old Testament being fulfilled. Well, like I said, his name doesn't even start with the M, and it was already a done deal. King Hezekiah's. Boy, you're really mixed up. Okay, Doris. All right, well, just tell me how, okay? You type in how while I'm talking, okay? You tell me how I'm mixed up. All right, I'll wait for your answer. All right, and he was called Jesus. Was Jesus called Emmanuel at any time, Doris? How many people called Jesus Emmanuel? Hmm. I'll wait for your answer in there. I'm hearing crickets right now. All right. Number 8. Joseph, Mary, and Jesus flee to Egypt while Herod slaughters all the males under 2 years old. Now, also note, Jesus's brother or cousin John the Baptist was also under 2, and he didn't get killed. Now, kind of going off the edge there. But I'm gonna have to shrink this down. It's going off the sentences are going off the edge there. All right. All right. But in Joseph, Mary, and Egypt did not flee, but remained for temple rituals. No slaughter infants is mentioned in Luke 2:22. Now, in Luke, they go to Bethlehem. The baby's born. At 8 days, they bring him to the temple. He's circumcised. He's registered, and they go back. End of story. A 10-day story. In Matthew, it is a 2-year story where Jesus. Well, and by the way, in Luke, you have the shepherds in the field come and look at Jesus, and he's wonderful. In Luke, it's a 2-year story where after the baby's born, they take off and they go into Africa, and they're in Africa for 2 years because Herod is trying to kill all the babies under 2, because the wise men were not in Matthew. But in Luke, the wise men came, and the wise men, which are actually magi, the magicians and astrologers, they came. And so this was a 2-year story in Matthew, which included a 2-year exile to Africa, which is a much different, and we've gone over that story many times. Very different story. 2 completely different stories. One is a 10-day story, not really that big a deal. The other one's a 2-year story where all the 2-year-old babies get killed in Bethlehem. King Herod orders the death of everybody in the area under 2 years old. They have to get exiled into another country. They go into Africa. Then they come back, and it's just and by the way, by the time the magi, the wise men, the astrologers see Jesus, he's a 2-year-old child. Instead of a 3-year-old baby, he's old enough to have a Happy Meal. You know what I mean? Big difference. Big difference. But yeah, tell me where I mixed up there, Doris. I'm still waiting. I'm hearing crickets. Seeing a few tumbleweeds go by. That's about it. All right. But yeah, set me straight there, Doris. I'm waiting. Number 9. Number 9. Jesus was tempted during the 40 days in the wilderness in Mark. That's the original. Or in Matthew, he was tempted after the 40 days in the wilderness. And that's kind of a huge deal because, I mean, you think, before, after, but the difference is it would make much more sense to be tempted during your 40 days. But either way, it's quite a different story, the order of things that happened there. Anyway, in number 10, the devil first took Jesus to the pinnacle, because this is what we're going to go over here. The devil first took Jesus to the pinnacle and then to the mountaintop in Matthew. But in Luke, the devil first took Jesus to the mountaintop and then to the pinnacle. Well, that one is probably I would say probably, it is a contradiction, but it's probably one of the least of the, which one happened first. But it still is a contradiction. And if it was God's perfect word, they would have both done exactly the same. I would expect it. I would expect it from a writer, a human writer, to not make mistakes. But from God, I would really expect it to be perfect. So in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, Satan tempted Jesus. Okay, but in John, Satan had no interest in Jesus. Do you understand that? Now, of course, these are the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. These are ones that were written first after all the letters of Paul were written. Then Matthew, Mark, and Luke was written. And John was written like almost in the 2nd century, if not definitely the 2nd century, probably. But yeah, in John's gospel, Satan has no interest in Jesus. And you know why? By the way, I'll maybe put a footnote on that. Why in John? This is kind of an obvious one, but I'm going to say it anyway. Why do you think in John, Satan is not interested in tempting Jesus? Well, because in John turns Jesus into God, and God cannot be tempted. All right, so Matthew, Mark, and Luke do not have Jesus as God, but John makes Jesus, so he's a human, so you can tempt him, right? He's got human parents, he's not God. But in John, he's God, and Satan's not even going to bother to tempt God, right? Because God can't be tempted. So, yeah, so in John, since Jesus is God and can't be tempted, Satan has no interest in tempting John. Can't, because he's God, remember? Anyway, and number 12, the baptism of Jesus was with the Holy Ghost in Mark and John. And this is interesting too. And then in Luke, Matthew and Luke, fire was also added to the baptism. Now remember, when they got the Holy Ghost in the book of Acts, there was fire came and as a split tongue and landed on the disciples and gave them the Holy Spirit in the book of Acts, which was written by Luke. All right, Luke also wrote the Gospel of Luke. So Luke uses fire again for the baptism. So Luke uses fire for the baptism. Luke also uses fire in Acts for the Holy Spirit, when they got the Holy Spirit. But John, remember John said they got the Holy Spirit in the very last page. He said they got the Holy Spirit when it came through. Jesus walked through the wall and blew on them and said, yeah, you have the Holy Ghost. So much different, but as you can see, Luke is sticking with the fire. All right, number 13. John knew of Jesus before he baptized him in Matthew and John. Interesting. John knew nothing of Jesus at all in Matthew, 7 chapters later. Now, this is really interesting because remember in the Gospel of Luke, Mary and Elizabeth, John the Baptist's mom, are cousins. So John the Baptist and Jesus are second cousin. They're family. All right. So for Matthew to say that John didn't know anything about Jesus does not make sense, because they're supposed to be cousins and family, right? Well, who said that? Who guess? I'm going to now. Remember what I said earlier. So just guess. Who is making Mary? All right. Who's making Mary? Propping her up to make her super important in this story. It's Luke, right? So later on, Luke tells you that Mary and Elizabeth are cousins, so he's the one that says that. So therefore, John the Baptist and Jesus are second cousins. So again, Luke will prop Mary up in his gospel, and therefore, and remember they leaped in the womb and all that kind of stuff, because that's when John and Jesus first met, when they were pregnant and they hugged, and the babies leaped in their womb and all that. That's when Jesus and John, so they knew each other since they were in the womb. Okay, so for John to Matthew to say suddenly, first he says he knew of Jesus, which makes sense, but then a few chapters later he said he knew nothing about Jesus. So anyway, I don't know. That's contradicting himself. And you notice that there's nothing about Luke, because Luke is telling you about. Anyway, so let's see. We'll get to 15. How about that? Jesus begins his ministry, number 14. Jesus begins his ministry after John's arrest. This is interesting too. According to Mark, the original gospel says that Jesus began his ministry after John's arrest. But in John, Jesus begins his ministry before John's arrest. Now, there's a big difference here. In fact, I should real quick. Yeah, there's a lot of parrots. Probably want a cracker. But Doris, I'm still waiting for you to tell me where I'm wrong here, right? Hearing crickets chirping, and that's about it. So Doris, I hope you're typing something really long and tell me all how I'm wrong and stuff, right? Maybe you're just typing so much it's taking long. So I'll keep waiting for your response there, Doris. Tell me how I'm mixed up. Can you be more specific? Because that'd be great. All right. All right. Flight to Egypt. All right. All right. So I'm just going to show you in Mark, Matthew, Mark. All right. So in Mark, what happens, it's much different than Matthew as far as that goes. It's about the baptism. And not only that, but I'm going to tell you about a progression that happens in the baptism from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Well, actually, Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John. The baptism progresses as it goes. So I'm just going to show you real quick in the Gospel of Mark. It's much different now. This is the original Gospel, it's Mark. So in Mark starts out where of course, Mark doesn't go into, because this is original, he doesn't go into, and he's writing after all, the Gospels were written long after Paul wrote his letters. Paul's dead, and the Gospels haven't even been started yet. So Paul has said nothing about a virgin birth. The original Mark said nothing about a virgin birth. But anyway, so Matthew and Mark add that, and that's where Matthew and Luke add it, which is why they don't make sense. It's all contradictions. So in Mark, the original is the Gospel of Mark starts out where John the Baptist comes and baptizes Jesus, and it's not really a big deal. Let's see, it progresses. So here's how you have in Mark. It starts out, Jesus is baptized. All right, then he goes up to get tempted by Satan. All right, he goes and gets tempted, and then next thing he knows, well, he's healing and he's doing his ministry, and then later, John the Baptist, actually, I'm going to show you real quick. Baptism of Jesus. And anyway, the order in which John is killed is just like almost a reverse story. So Jesus begins his ministry after John's arrest in the original Mark. Jesus begins his ministry after John's arrest. which is way different. You know, there's all kinds of dialogue, and John's baptizing more than them, and all this other stuff in the other Gospels, and none of that happens in the original of Mark. So, anyway, so 15, it is recorded that Jesus saw the Spirit descending in Matthew and Mark, and that is in the original, and it is recorded that John saw the Spirit. Now, I'm gonna say real quick about the progression through the Gospels about this baptism story. Mark is the original gospel, and in Mark's gospel, it was not a big deal. Jesus got baptized by John, and in John, after John baptizes Jesus, where is it? Here. So in Mark and Matthew, the originals, Jesus saw the Spirit coming down. Okay, but by the time you get to John, the Gospel of John, John the Baptist is the one that saw the Spirit coming down. So in other words, it's more credible to have John the Baptist say he saw the Spirit coming down than to say, and by the way, there's another progression here I'm about to say. So I'm going through some progressions right now. So you start out in Mark, the original, it's just a regular baptism. And anyway, then Matthew and Luke get a little bit more like, you're you know, a little bit more like Jesus is more godly, like why are we even baptizing him? And by the time you get to John, it's like basically John's almost refusing to baptize Jesus because he's just so holy. Jesus should be baptizing him. And it's just like it's gone. The story got taller. The baptism story gets taller as each person tells it. And so by the time you get to John in the 2nd century, it's recorded that John saw the Spirit descending, and watch this progression too. So in 16, the heavenly voice addressed the gathering, all right, in Matthew. But the original story, the heavenly voice just talked to Jesus, and Jesus is the one who saw the Spirit coming down. But as the story goes told, retold and told later, the later version has John saw the Spirit come down, and the whole community heard the voice. Okay, so it goes from Jesus seeing the Spirit and hearing the voice himself to John seeing the Spirit and everybody heard the voice. You see how it progresses as the story goes on. So the heavenly voice addressed the gathering in Matthew, like everybody, but the original said the heavenly voice only addressed Jesus himself. So that Jesus saw the Spirit, he heard the voice, and then later on it turned into everybody saw the Spirit and everybody heard the voice. Anyway, and then of course in Matthew, immediately after the baptism, Jesus spent 40 days in the wilderness, according to Matthew. But according to John, 3 days after the baptism, Jesus is at the wedding at Cana. Now, wait a minute. Then a lot of stuff doesn't make sense about John. A lot of stuff. And you know what? Another thing that does not make sense? All right. So immediately after the baptism, in basically all the Gospels or whatever, well, specifically Mark, he went 40 days. All right after he got baptized. Now, in John, remember, Jesus gets baptized, and the next thing you know, they're at the wedding at Cana, and Jesus is turning water, big jugs of water, into wine. And John likes Dionysus a lot. So this is a Dionysus thing, turning big jugs of water into wine, just like Dionysus did. So anyway, by the time you get to John, you know what else happens right after this wedding that does not make no sense at all? In Matthew, Mark, and Luke, all three of them, it is a 1-year ministry of Jesus. He goes through he goes from Passover to the next year Passover. That's it. Matthew, Mark, and Luke have Jesus as a 1-year ministry. All right. He goes from Passover. They go through all the spring festivals, then the fall festivals, and then in the next Passover, he's killed. All right. That's Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And he's killed because after that 1 year ministry, he tore up the temple. And that is a death penalty by Roman law. It is an executionable offense. It's capital offense, execution by crucifixion, which is the worst public death you can have. And Jesus knew that. And so in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, Jesus gets arrested after 1 year ministry, after tearing up the temple. He gets arrested and put to death, capital offense. All right. Now in John, which makes no sense, is that once he gets baptized, he immediately goes to wedding Cana, does his first miracle, turning water into wine, which is kind of funny for a miracle, for a first miracle. And then he goes and tears up the temple. He cleanses the temple at the beginning of his 3.5 year ministry, which makes no sense. Yes, death penalty for insurrection. You know, they still don't take too lightly to insurrection, which is going against your government, okay? It's treason or whatever. You usually get the death penalty. So it was an insurrection. So for John, right 3 days after the baptism, Jesus is at the wedding at Cana, and then he goes and tears up the temple. And then what does he do? Does he get put to death because that's what happens when you tear up the temple? Nope. He goes on a 3.5 year ministry, which doesn't match up at all with the first three. Yeah, it is treason. That's why you get the worst punishment ever, a public death that takes days in front of everybody, bare naked, hanging on a tree with a cross member. So 3 days after the baptism, Jesus goes to the wedding, then he tears up the temple, and he goes about his merry way for 3.5 years, and nobody does nothing. All right, so yeah. And like I said, you know what? John is so off the trail from the other three, the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. John has just got his totally own story. What did it say? 10% of his story is in the other three. He's only got like 10% on the same page. Yeah, humiliating and a long suffering. That's right. So, yeah, it just makes no sense. So John, John. And so what I was going to say is anytime the synoptic gospels, the three gospels line up and John's in left field, everybody takes the left field. Everybody tells you, ask anybody, how long was his ministry? Everybody will say 3.5 years. No, it couldn't have been. Because once he tore up that temple, it was a done deal. And he did that at the beginning, according to John. Second of all, John has well, you know what? It doesn't even say 3.5 years. It says that his ministry was about 3 years. And you don't even have to know that. You can just count. They do the spring festivals, then the fall festivals. There's 7 per year. There's 3 in the spring, 4 in the fall. So they did 7 festivals, then another 7 festivals, then another 7 festivals, and then they had the Passover when Jesus died. So John has you have a 3.5 year ministry of Jesus, starting with tearing up the temple. Makes no sense. Anyway, but the other 3 say it's 1 year, but you ask anybody, they're going to say 3.5 years. People say he died at 33. You don't know that. The only way, you know how people try to do the math? Because in the Gospel of Luke says Jesus was about 30 years old when he started his ministry. Well, nobody really knows how old he was. Luke doesn't know how old he was. You could have a robbery suspect say, well, he's about 30 years old. I mean, hey, Ray of Sunshine, good to see you tonight. Good to see you tonight. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, so Luke is the only one that alludes to Jesus's age, and he says he was about 30 years old, and the ministry was about 3 years. Well, and they're counting because of the people say that because they're counting the spring and the fall feast 3.5 times. Anyway, so 3 days after the baptism, Jesus was at the wedding at Cana. All right, next. I guess we'll get to 20. Number 18, Jesus went to Bethphage and the Mount of Olives, then left for Bethany in Matthew 21. In Mark and Luke, Jesus went to Bethphage and Bethany at the Mount of Olives. Or in John, Jesus went to Bethany and then Jerusalem. Yeah, so if you put this on a map with routes, yeah, it's going to be 3 different people's routes. Anyway, so I think we've actually seen that. So they knew it started with Beth. And Beth means house. Wait, Bethlehem is the house of bread. I think Beth is house, right? Anyway, so it's house of something. They know it's the house of something. All right, 19. Jesus and his disciples taught in Capernaum. That's in Mark. That's in the original. And as a matter of fact, well, I'll just read the other one. Only Jesus taught in Capernaum. According to Luke, only Jesus taught in Capernaum, and that is ridiculous. You know why it's ridiculous? Because Peter lived in Capernaum. They say it over and over and over. And as a matter of fact, you know what? If you go on a tour over to Israel, you can still see Peter's house. Well, they claim it's Peter's house. And they actually have a Catholic church straddled over the top of it. But they have, how many times does it say that Peter and his mother, remember his mother and mother-in-law got sick? And Jesus healed the mother-in-law at Peter's house in Capernaum. How many times it says that's on the Sea of Galilee? And you can see it. In fact, here, I'll show you Peter's house at Capernaum. As a matter of fact, remember, they even say right at the beginning of one of the Gospels that he's in Capernaum. And that's where Peter lives. Now, I'll show you. To this day, you can see his house on the Sea of Galilee in Capernaum. Yeah, good to see it tonight, Ray of Sunshine. Here's Peter's house. Well, they claim to be Peter's house to this day in Capernaum. Capernaum. House of Peter. See, there's his house here. They got a church built over the top of it right now. Here's Capernaum. They have like a Catholic church straddled over the top of it. But it's supposed to be Peter's house. I don't know. They can just say whatever they want, I guess. But there it is, Peter's house. I think it's Catholic church on top of it. But yeah, and that is, I don't know, the Sea of Galilee, Lake Tiberias. It was the Sea of Galilee. There it is, right here. Bam, the Sea of Galilee. They changed the name to Lake Tiberias during like Jesus' lifetime because it was the governor's name was Tiberius, but it is the Sea of Galilee. They called everything a sea because remember it's actually a lake. It's like 7 miles wide and 14 miles long or something like that. It's a big lake, but it is freshwater. Pretty sure it's freshwater. Yeah, there. Yeah, here. There it is. Sea of Galilee, Peter's house. Underneath that church there. Anyway, I mean, if you believe it, they'll show you 3 different places where Jesus' tomb is too. So, it is tourism. But anyway, yeah, it's well-known fact that Peter lived in Capernaum. And anyway, so to say that only Jesus taught in Capernaum is crazy, Luke. Jesus and his disciples taught in Capernaum. Absolutely, they did. That's where, in fact, that was their headquarters because that's where Peter lived. and his mom or mother-in-law, or wife, or whatever, family. All right. And look at this. Peter was chosen with Andrew by the Sea of Galilee in Matthew and the original in Mark. Of course, they were. Peter, his brother's name was Andrew, and they were fishermen on the Sea of Galilee. But according to Luke, who also isn't getting his story straight lately, Peter was chosen with James and John by the lake of Gennesaret. Now, I don't think they ever called the Sea of Galilee. They called it Lake Tiberias for the governor, but I don't think they ever called it Lake Gennesaret. Maybe they did. That might have been because the name changed several times over history. Maybe at one time it was called Lake Gennesaret. I don't know, but we all know it's the Sea of Galilee. Mm-hmm. All right, and then in John, Andrew chose Jesus and then got Peter to join. I remember that. All right, so a little mix up there, but Peter and Andrew are brothers. James and John are brothers, and by all accounts, they were chosen on the Sea of Galilee on the shore when they were fishermen. One was mending their nets, and the other one was, I don't know, helping their dad do something. Remember, let the dead bury the dead. Well, I'll tell you, a Jewish man would never say those words ever, because it was the oldest, especially the male. It was such a big deal to bury your father. I mean, your dad. It was a big deal, and you were required to. Anyways, just say to let other people bury him. It's a Jew would never say that. Anyway, so where are we at? We are at number 20. We'll finish up at 20. We just did 20. Yeah, because see, the next one's the Jew and Gentiles, and I'll go on for 20 minutes on that. So I'm going to stop here at number 20. So that's a good start on the list of 194 contradictions. I recently came across all these studies. I hear new scholars say the Gospels are anonymous. Yeah, we don't know who wrote the Gospels. Matthew knew a little bit of Jewish stuff, but the Gospels were written by very highly educated people who spoke Greek, and they're probably Romans or whatever. I think part of Matthew might be Aramaic. I can't remember, but for the most part, they are highly educated non-Jews. And so Luke is never mentioned as a disciple. Nobody knows who he is. His name's not even in the Bible once, not once. You can't even, you go ahead and look, and you cannot see Luke's name in the Bible anywhere. We don't know who he is. He says he writes to Theophilus. Luke wrote both the Gospel according to Luke and the Acts of the Apostles. He wrote them both, and he was somehow trailing Paul. He never knew Jesus, never met him, was not a disciple. Never mentioned in the Bible. But somehow he's writing a Gospel, Luke, and Acts. Now, Mark, who's Mark? Well, they think maybe it's John Mark. Peter had a son named John Mark, or Marcus. But Mark was like the top. Marcus was the number one most popular name in the first century in Rome. So everybody's name was Mark and John. And Johann, that was more of a Jewish name too, but Mark was definitely a Roman name. But so who is Mark? Mark is a traveling companion to Barnabas. Yeah, knew of Paul, maybe knew Paul. So who's Mark? He's not on a list of disciples either. Luke and Mark. Now, John, who's John? I don't know. Well, we don't know, because he's definitely written. John was written definitely not by. None of these were written by the disciples. None of them were written by. Well, first of all, they mentioned several times that these guys don't know how to read or write. Even in the Gospel, in the book of Acts, which is actually called the second letter of Luke. Luke 1 and Luke 2, they changed the names later. But and so in the second letter of Luke wrote to Theophilus, who's ever hired him to write, he says, "Oh, Theophilus." Now he's chasing down Paul or whatever, but he's in Acts, and he's definitely not a disciple. So Matthew, who knows? Matthew was listed as a disciple, but is it the same Matthew? I don't know. Now, Matthew would be probably one of the only disciples that would have known how to read and write, because he was supposedly a tax collector, and tax collectors did have to know how to read and write. So, but the other ones are all, especially even in the book of Acts, Luke says these guys are all uneducated. None of them know how to read and write. But somehow they're in Acts, when they got the Holy Spirit, they're reciting languages from different languages. And they said, these guys have no education at all. No, nobody did. I mean, if you could read, that was not many people learn how to read, but to learn how to write was even more rare. Nobody knew how to write. Scribes knew how to write. If you knew how to write, you were a scribe. And back then you had nothing to write on. Only very rich people had pen and paper. I mean, you had to be really rich to have pen and paper. So nobody wrote that down. These are not written by the disciples. Absolutely. And the disciples didn't speak like that. Not at all. Never would. So no, none of them are written by the disciples themselves. I don't believe at all. Yeah, they are pretty much anonymous. Now, I just was listening to something really interesting tonight at Gnostic Informant. They were talking about, there's three of them. They were talking about how the Gospel of Mark, which is the original, the Gospel of Mark is probably, they're pretty much talking about Dionysus, and I've gone over Dionysus many times. But I mean, they've half or more of the story of Jesus is Dionysus. So I don't know. They had a pretty good theory. Let me see if I can pull that up. I just watched it a little bit ago. They just put it up. Yeah, that was interesting though. So no, the disciples definitely didn't write them. And you know what's interesting also, and this, some people have to remember this, never once did Jesus say, hey, write this down. The only time he said that was in the book of Revelation, when he said, write these things down in a book to John the Revelator. He never said, write this down when he was a disciple, or when he was teaching a disciple. There are 6 books of Acts and 9 different endings of Mark. Yeah, the original ending of Mark, chapter 16 is completely added to it. Chapter 16, they had to put it in. They had to. After, you see, because Mark, the ending of Mark, I think it was in 15, chapter 15. And it's a very short book, and that's the original. And in the original, they went to see the tomb, and the tomb was empty. They got scared, ran away, and never told anybody. The end. That's how Mark ended. And then so after Mark and Luke are writing their stories, and possibly even John by then, you have the dying and raising gods. All the gods back then died and raised from the dead after 3 days. They're called dying and raising gods. And they also had the virgin birth gods too. They had all these other gods in Greek and Roman, and that's who Paul is teaching to. Paul is recruiting the Romans and the pagans and the Greeks and people who have these other gods. And to appeal to them, they had to add the dying and raising God part. They also had to add the virgin birth. And so, yeah, Mark, yeah, they added to it. So then they say, hey, wait a minute, we can't have Jesus dying and raising from the dead and doing all this stuff when the original doesn't have it. So they actually added that much, much later to Mark. They added the ending. So there's many, many studies about that. I mean, everybody's here. All scholars have, let's see here, endings. You just look up endings to Gospel of Mark, and you can see all kinds of studies. There, right here, look, it comes up right away. If you start typing it in, it comes up. Different endings to Mark. Yeah, we'll take that one. Because this is Mark has 2 additional, actually there's, what I heard is that there's 4 endings. There's the original, there's the long ending, there's the longer ending, and the longest ending, or something like that. Original, long, longer, and longest. That's how they classified the different endings to Mark. Because they had to keep adding on because the other ones were just going crazy with their stories. So they had to even it all out. Mark has 2 additional endings. So there's at least 3. The longer ending verse in 9 through 20, and the shorter ending unversed. Yep, you're right. They did. And they had to do that. And so, yeah, there's lots of studies on this. And you know what else is in Mark? Mark's got some weird stuff, you guys. See the strange ending to the Gospel of Mark? Because the original said they went to the tomb, it was empty, they got scared, they ran away and never told anybody. The end. And then but that didn't fly with the other one, so they had to add the missing end of Mark's Gospel. There's a lot of studies on this. See, why is Mark's Gospel such a strange ending? Mark's got weird stuff in his Gospel. I'll tell you that. Why are there 2 endings? There's more than 2. There's more than 2 endings. So yeah, there is. That's a huge study you could do. I have done that study. I've I like like I said, I like Myth Vision. I like Gnostic Informant. Those all have scholars. I like listening to scholars that have, nothing to prove on this because they are, not trying to prove their religion. These people have studied this stuff for a living. Yeah, there's a lot about that. You know what else is in Mark? I'm going to show you real quick. Mark also has that weird thing where the naked boy is running. And I listened to a few studies on this too, about the naked boy. Here, I'm pretty sure it's the Gospel of Mark. And you know what? That's one story the rest of them didn't copy. For some interest, who is the naked man in Mark's Gospel? First of all, it's not a man, it's a boy, a naked boy. A young man. They call it a young man, but it is a boy running naked. And this is in the Garden of Gethsemane at their rest. When Jesus got arrested, this naked boy comes running wrapped in nothing but a sheet. And the word that they used for it was linen, wrapped in a linen. And if you go back, I watched this guy, he was on Neil's podcast a few times. And the guy studied first century pharmaceuticals, so like pharmacy. And the first century, all kinds of stuff, Greek, Roman, or whatever. But he knows about first century pharmaceuticals. And he said that in that story in Mark where the kid is wrapped in a linen, I forgot the name, that original name for it, but it's actually what it is. It's a piece of cloth that's dipped in some type of medication, and when you wrap it around yourself, you can hallucinate. You can trip, like tripping, you know what I mean? But it's a medicated cloth. And so that story gets weirder and weirder. And he said the weird thing is back then they had these rituals where you, almost like Freemasonry, but they had these rituals where you had to be wrapped in this medicated cloth. Anyway, and the fact that it's a young boy is, anyway, there's a lot of stories on that too. Random naked guy in Mark's Gospel. And you notice that, like I said, that's one story Matthew, Luke, and John didn't care to repeat. Who is the naked man who fled? A mysterious naked guy in Gethsemane. Anyway, that story goes really deep. So anyway, nobody really talks about these. People just gloss over that part. And a naked boy goes running with no clothes on. Like, wait a minute, what? No, but look, he's getting arrested. Oh, he's getting arrested. No, wait, back up. What about this naked boy? What? Running through the park? He's running through the park naked? Yeah, I found this from MythVision. Yeah, yeah. MythVision. I like MythVision. And also Gnostic Informant too. I like Gnostic Informant. I'll put that up too. But yeah, I like listening to people who are very informed, and he's got a lot of, yeah. What did you find? The thing about Mark? You found this from MythVision. Myth Here. Here's another one. Yeah, this is kind of cool. Yeah, I'm gonna put his link up too. There you go again, pointing out faults in the Bible. I'm pointing out contradictions. If you want to call them faults, you can call them faults. Galaxy, do you have a problem with me pointing out contradictions? No. Here's Gnostic Informant. I just watched. I shall put the videos. It must have been a video. Might have been a short too. Yeah, like surprising links between Virgin Mary and Artemis. Truth about martyrs will surprise you. Shocking Yahweh. Anyway, they got a lot of good stuff. Let's see. These are just the videos, so he's got lives and shorts. Okay. No, go ahead and pop them bubbles. Okay. All right. I will pop the bubbles. Thank you. I mean, I think people need to see the truth, and then you take, nobody's forced to believe anything. So you just take what you want. I say chew up the meat, spit out the bones. Oh, he hasn't done a live stream in 3 months. What did I see today? Was it a short? Might have been a short. Maybe it was an old one. Huh. I must have watched the old video today. Yeah, so anyway, we just got through 20. The truth is the best dope to smoke. That's right, Galax. That's right. If you're going to smoke it, might as well be the good stuff, right? All right, anyways. Yeah, what did we get to? I got to make sure if I remember for tomorrow. Was it 20? All right. Yeah. Okay, it was 20. I just got to write that down because I don't remember. Anyway, we got through 20 of them tonight, 20 of the contradictions. I did put a link for this if anybody wants to study it on their own. That's right. Good to see you tonight, Galax. I hope you had a wonderful day. Ray of sunshine, everybody. Hope you all had a good day. And didn't feel like Saturday. It felt like I don't know. It's all cloudy and kind of dreary today. Yeah, so tomorrow we'll pick up at 21. We'll do that. Anyway, yeah, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 60. So it should take 10 days to get through it. It depends. Some things you don't have to really mention too much. But yeah. Yeah. And on this channel, everybody is free to believe what you want to believe. No, it's not a cookie cutter channel. Not everybody has to believe the same thing. Are you now a materialist, or do you still believe in something mystical? I don't know what a materialist is. Something mystical? I believe probably what I've believed most of my entire life is well, I've believed ever since I was a child that there is a God. I believe that there's a God, and I believe that God watches over me and protects me. I believe that I get rewarded for good and punished for bad, and not after I die. I mean, now where I live, it just felt that way my whole life. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I put the link. Let me see. Yeah, so Gnostic Informant, I like him. I like his stuff. It seems like lately they're slowing down. Maybe they got like a Patreon channel I don't know about. I don't know. But that's one. Let me see if I can post up. And then, yeah, let me see. And you guys know about Myth Vision, but yeah, let me pull this up. Myth Vision. No, I believe that there's a God. I believe, because I'll tell you what, there's my whole life, when I've really needed God and I've prayed, I've gotten miracles. So there's got to be something that's listening. Um, I mean, not just like little things, like, you know, little things. I'm talking huge miracles. And so, yeah, I've always believed that, because I've got evidence of it. Probably, you know what I mean. I've seen evidence of God. All right, and then also, Myth Vision. Oh, look, it came up. I didn't have to type it in. Myth Vision, and so that is. Did I just put that up or no? Did I screw up? Moses versus Plato. Yeah, there's Myth Vision. They're going to Israel again. You can go too if you have money. All right, let me just put that back up. Gilix says, that's my dog. I was neurologically dead for 7 minutes, so no talking me out of believing in spirit. But when I was dead, I was surrounded by light, but there wasn't religion out there. Yeah, you know what, Gilix? You know what? I'm glad you said that, because I believe the same thing. I believe when you die, I believe everybody goes on to the next thing, whatever that is. And I've watched so many of those near-death experiences where people were near death, and I've also watched tons and tons of those hospice nurses that tell these stories about people dying and what they see and stuff. And it's all the same as the near death. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Graces. Thank you for sharing that. Yep. And so, I mean, there's nobody can talk you out of saying, oh, there's no God or there's no this. But I'm telling you, when people die and they have these near death experiences, not one person has been like, all right, stop. You didn't believe in the right religion or not. There is no religion. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you my take on religion. I was just thinking about this today, and I've mentioned these things before. That's Gnostic Informant's link. Oh, wait, did I put that up? I put that up twice. Sorry, I didn't get the right link up. I put them up twice. Yeah, like Grace said, we would love to hear more details if you're ever up to talking with Kathy Live. Yeah. Hey, that's a good point. Galex, if you ever want to come up and chat, I will put up a link if you want to tell us about your near-death experience. We would love to hear it, because yeah, I've listened to a lot of those, and I'll tell you about what I think about religion. It used to make me so mad when people used to say religion is just a form of control. You know what I mean? Well, I guess I realize what they're talking about now, because I used to get so offended if somebody spoke against my religion. But it is kind of a form of control in a lot of ways, but I'll tell you even more what I think. And this is why I don't believe about like Christianity kind of stuff when you die and you're going to get judged and thrown in hell and all this stuff. I don't believe none of that anymore. Because the real ones that I see, the real near-death experiences, it's Nothing about that. Everybody has the same thing. It's a warm light, and it's this and that. And there's never judgment. If anything, you're judging. You're really kind of judging yourself. You're down on yourself, if anything. So here's the other link. Move that up. But you can ask any religion. You can go to, you know, you can go to Jewish people or Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses. You could go to any religion there is. And everybody has testimonies. I mean, Christians aren't the only ones that have testimony where they call out to Jesus. They call out to Jesus and Jesus says, I'm here for you. And then their whole life turns around. They were bad alcoholics and everything turned around and everything got better. Great testimonies, right? Well, guess what? Buddhists have those testimonies. Mormons have those testimonies. Jehovah's Witnesses has the testimonies. Hindus have those testimonies. That's right. Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims have that. They all have these testimonies where they cry out to their God, and then all of a sudden everything turns around and is better. Why? No. Every religion has that where you cry out, and I'll tell you what I think. I think is that there is a powerful force, and it doesn't care what you call it, okay? And the powerful force wants you to do good and wants you to treat each other well, okay? I think that's our mission while we're here. Love others as yourself. Be here for each other, humanity, to be a good humanitarian. Love others as yourself, help each other out, all that kind of stuff. Now, what happens is when somebody joins a religion, it really doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter if you're a Buddhist or a Hindu or Muslim or a Jehovah's Witness or a Christian. What happens is you cry out to somebody, and now all of a sudden you think, okay, now I cried out to Jesus, I'm going to go by Jesus's rules. I cried out to Allah, I'm going to go by Allah's rules. I cried out to Jehovah or whatever. So I'm going to go by their rules. So what happens is that person stops going by their rules, and their rules were not good at all. Their rules, they drank all day, they didn't work, they cheated on their wife, whatever it was. Their rules got them at the lowest point in a gutter that they could possibly be, because they did their way. They did things their way. But now all of a sudden you're crying out to God, and you're gonna follow the Mormon way from now on. You're gonna follow the Christian way. You're gonna follow Allah way. You're gonna follow Muslim way, whatever. You're gonna follow. Okay, so now you throw your rules away that got you where you're at, and now you're grab these other rules of this new God that you have, and you're going to follow those rules, and those rules are gonna help you out. Those rules are gonna keep you out of trouble. And that's why your life turns around and gets better. That's why you have amazing testimony. It is not because of the particular God that you called out to. It's because you threw your rules away, which were trash, and you have somebody else's rules that you're living by now. Don't cheat on your wife. Don't drink all day. Don't be a drunk. Don't be a drug addict. Do the right thing. Provide for yourself, provide for your family, work hard, sleep good, eat good, so you're living by somebody else's rules now. That's why your life turns around. I mean, and I do believe in karma, and not like the Hindu karma, but not like the karma where in your next life you're gonna pay for it. I mean, I don't know. I don't believe none of that about the next life you gotta pay, because what's the point of hell? What's the point of punishing you on your next life? What the heck? How does that help you now? And how does that help your next door neighbor? I mean, how does it help people around you to get punished in your next life and to learn about stuff in your next life? No, it's for this one. Oh, Galaxy is absolutely cool. It'd be cool to have you up here. So we want to hear about it. On a separate occasion, I was in a coma for 2 months and was in the astral with beings. We need to hear about that, Galaxy. You got to come up sometime and tell us. Yeah. The golden rule cannot survive within the confines of religiosity, where if you're not my religion, then you are on the highway to hell. Yes. And it's another thing. Religion, especially Christianity, creates cults, cult members. And you know how you're going to know that you're in a cult? Because you're going to be saying the words us and them, we and them, us and them. Okay, that's the first clue you're in a cult, when you're separated by your group and everybody else. Yeah. How many of these Christians say, I just can't be around a non-believer? Yeah. Which is actually the opposite of what they're supposed to be saying, because the Great Commission from Jesus said, get out there and make believers of the non-believers. Well, if you can't be around non-believers, what are you going to do? Oh, I know what they're going to do. They're going to sit around and cut each other down on their not being a Christian, right? How do I connect? Well, like when we have an open chat, I will drop a link and you just click on it. And if you have a cell phone, you just enable your microphone and you can cut your video off. We don't need the camera, but you just need to enable the microphone. It'll say if you haven't done it yet. It's real easy. StreamYard's easy. You click on the link. And if you want to email me first, you can email me. But if you want to come up and chat, and you know what, Galax, you want to do it tomorrow? Tomorrow's Sunday. We're not really doing nothing. We can take a night to we can have a night to have you come up and tell us your story. It's real easy. I was a hellbent Christian. The Bible was inerrant word, but now I'm seeing things a little different. Me too, Ray of Sunshine. I remember you. Ray of Sunshine. I don't know if I've seen you on other people's channels or if you were here, but I was the same way. Oh, hellbent Christian. Yeah, me too. Me too. And you know what? I got to tell you something too. Remember, I grabbed my old Bible from 2016. I bought a new Bible in 2016, a King James, because it had to be a King James only. Anyway, guess what I wrote in the front of it? Because this is what I heard from other people. I'm going to show you. Love to, but telling my story would be great. Yeah, I started questioning it. Yeah, hell is. We should go over that some night. Hell is just a pagan invention. As a matter of fact, Catholics use that to scare you. Because listen, the only way, and it's so strange, you guys, Christianity is a religion that actually threatens you and extorts you into believing. If you don't believe, you're going to burn forever. I swear. If you don't believe in the right God, you're going to burn forever. Like, that's a threat. So I have to believe in you or I'm going to burn? Yep. That's a flaw there. I have to believe in a God or I'm going to burn forever? Wouldn't you just rather have me come to you because I want to be with you, or I'm being threatened? So yeah. Yep. And hell is and so what you have is a world full of people afraid to burn forever. So what you have to do, you have to run to the churches to save you. So they have you running to them so you don't have to burn forever. Please, Mr. Pastor, tell me how I cannot burn forever. All right. Well, it starts with your wallet. Give us some money and then we'll go from there. Hellfire is Hindu concept, but sinners go there to purge bad karma. Nobody stays there. Yeah, that is true, Galax. I did hear about that. So in Hindu, you do go to hell, but it's not forever. You get back up. Kind of like purgatory with flames. Yeah, yeah. Just pay your way out of jail. Ties, yeah. It's all about the money, man. And then they even went a step further and invented purgatory. So you're not quite in the flames yet. So your loved one's dead. He was a hellbound heathen. And so if you want him to not burn, you pay us and we will pray and then it will keep him out. As long as you keep paying us, will keep praying and keep him from getting that last step into the flames. But right now he's in the waiting room. Now he's in the waiting room, folks. Your loved one, hellbound heathen loved one, is in the waiting room. Now he's waiting for help. But if you pay us now, now you don't. Oh, on Thirst for Truth. Oh, I love Thirst for Truth. Really, I love Thirst for Truth. Yeah, I really like him. Oh, that's cool. I know I've seen you before. I was trying to figure out whose channel. Maybe it was on his channel. Yeah, he got one of his channels taken down, his other channel. That was sad. That was sad. He had so many good videos. Catholics say you can pray for your dead, get them out of purgatory. Yeah, well, you can't pray, but they can, and they aren't going to pray without giving some money. So it's a way. As a matter of fact, I told you I had my so my friends. I told you I got some elderly friends, and they he passed away a couple years ago, and he was Catholic, and she's Lutheran, I think. Anyway, so it was a Catholic wedding. I mean, a Catholic funeral. I went to the funeral, and it was down in St. Paul, and it was a giant Catholic church. You wouldn't believe there must have been 50 Jesus statues in there, all the way from baby to over life size. Anyway, crazy Catholic. Anyway, his wife told me that he specifically said, "Don't you dare pay them after I die. Don't pay them to get me out of hell or purgatory, nothing like that. They're going to tell you that, but don't pay." I said it because I said, "Oh man," I was asking about the funeral and stuff, and she's saying, "Yeah, Russ told me before he died, don't you dare pay them to, because they're going to say they're going to keep me out of hell." You know, they're going to keep me out of hell if you pay them. He said, "Don't you dare pay them a penny after I die." Because they'll work on the widow and say, "Yeah, he's in the waiting right now. He's in the waiting room. He's counting on you too. Now you're not going to let a little bit of money stand in the way between you and your husband, right?" Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. It was creepy. I mean, anyway, yeah, so many Jesus statues everywhere, from babies and mangers all the way to on the hanging on the cross, little, medium, big, giant, just like everywhere. Crazy. And you know what? That's why they took out the second commandment out of their 10 commandments. The second commandment is don't worship any idols, don't have statues or idols. So the Catholics took that out because that's not going to fly in their church. Because they're going to say, wait a minute, um, priest, Catholic priest, Father, Father Mulcahy. It says here in the second commandment, we're not to have any statues or pray to statues. They're like, oh, dang, we can't have that. So they just took that one out. Catholics have their own 10 commandments. They took out the one about the statues and they replaced it. They split up number 10 with the coveting into two. They were advertising for other people at the beginning of my cousin's funeral. Oh, really? Were they really? Yeah, Thirst for Truth is cool. I like him. Yeah, I always like this stuff. Yeah, he's cool. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, I'll show you guys his channel. I have recommended his channel, but I'm going to show you because he had his channel taken down. YouTube pulled his channel, and I know how that is. I had a channel taken down in 2016 or 2017. It was 2017. I had my first channel taken down, and I lost a lot of stuff. I lost 400 and something videos. I lost all my subscribers. It's rough, man. I didn't have nothing backed up. I don't know how to do that. And you'll never get those subscribers back. You know what I mean? Anyway, there he is. Oh no, that ain't it. Where is his channel? Oh, maybe it's the number 4. Maybe I'm not doing it right. There it is. Huh. Where I don't see his channel. There's for truth. I don't see it on here. What am I doing wrong? There's for truth. What the heck? Not a motivational channel, that ain't it. That's weird. I can't find his channel. Did he get his channel taken down again? Why did YouTube do that for me? It was my other channel, and I got taken down for bullying because I was exposing people. I was exposing these fake rapture channels, and I got striked for bullying and bullying and bullying. I think I had 4 strikes, and then after my channel was down, they kept striking me. I'm like, dang, that's like kicking a dead body. You know what I mean? That's sick. Yeah, they just wanted me gone, and that's back in 2017. People didn't even get channels taken down back then. I did. I was a pioneer. I was one of the first one to have my channels taken down, and I was really careful what I said after that. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of strikes on this channel too. Oh, it does protect scammers, and these people were big scammers, man, huge scammers. And what they did, one of them, they had a large channel, and they I called it. To me, I pictured it like when all the bees go together. You know the cartoon where the bees get mad at somebody and the bees form a big arrow and they point at somebody and they go after them. That's what all the bees came after me. They 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 all struck my channel. They have scammers advertising on here, but they crack down on good people. I know. And that's what it ended up to be, and they're just censoring and censoring, and they're just censoring everybody so bad. Like you can't say anything. And then when the thing came out in 2020, yeah, that boy, then it went from bullying to medical misinformation, and I forgot what the other thing. I got a lot of yeah, but YouTube has been kind of nice to me because even though they give me a strike about once or twice a month, they don't put it on as they don't mark it permanently. So I would have had my channel taken on a long time ago if they wanted to be jerks. They could have. I'm a scam baiter as a hobby, and I investigated several scams. Really? Huh? Yeah, that's my other channel. My other channel I started in 2016. That was actually my first channel, and actually I'll show you my other channel. Yeah, these people. One in particular is I've been after for 6 years, 7 years. Is Revelation Mark Hardy, and most of all because he's been taking a murdered child, the picture of a murdered child, and calling her the devil for 7 years, and he has been tormenting a murdered child's family, and I'm not letting that rest. I don't care how many channels I get taken down. I'm gonna expose him, and so yeah, he's gonna do this to this murdered child's family. I'm gonna be on him like stink on crap or flies on crap, whatever you want to call it. Here's my other channel, in case anybody doesn't know. I've had this channel since 2016. This is when I got exposing evil. By the way, I have another channel with this logo. So if anybody recognizes that logo, yeah, that's me and I have another secret channel with that logo. I'm not going to say what it is. But see how I put this one up 4 days ago. See how angry man-child beats on the murdered child, Alexis Murphy. That's who I've been after for 7 years. A few other people, but he's a false prophet, false teacher, and he Yeah. Yeah, I'll put the channel up. I'll put the link up. Yeah, I'm annoyed just thinking about it. Getting annoyed right now just looking at this. Anyway, yeah. But yeah, he saw this picture of this murdered child back in 2016 and he decided to make it his life mission. Mark Hardy accuses a murdered teenage Alexis Murphy of being a demon. He says she's a demon. He claims that the mother killed her because in a satanic ritual. So yeah, that's what he does. For what on his own admission since 2016, he's been showing this. I've been trying to stop. Please report this hateful abuse, Alexis Murphy and her tormented family. Yep. Yep. His mission is to let everybody know that this child deserved to be murdered. She had the devil in her. She deserved to be murdered. In fact, I'll show you. Yeah. And if you don't know, Alexis Murphy was a child that was murdered. She's 17 years old. So she was on her way. She was 17 years old. She was a senior in high school, and she went to the gas station to get some stuff for her hair because she was having senior pictures. She's going to get some ribbons or something for her hair. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, so she went there and she never came back. She was a very good student. Well, hello, Sandra. Sandra knows all about this, don't you, Sandra? Murder of Alexis Murphy. This is a murdered child. And he's made it his mission. And here's the serial killer. A serial killer got her. His name was Randy Taylor. But he's made it his mission to make sure everybody knows that this child deserved to be murdered. And here's the picture right here. Here's the picture. Because she's got her tongue sticking out, that makes her the devil. Yeah. Yeah, never mind the fact that the young woman was kidnapped, abused, and yeah, she was. She was kidnapped, raped, and murdered. But he says, no, the mother did it because she's the devil and she deserved to be murdered. This is a Christian, you guys. Here's the murder. He's the one that did it. In fact, he denied he did it. He killed other people too. But he's in prison now, and just to get out on a little field trip, he went and showed everybody just last year where the body was. That's Randy Taylor. He's a real killer. He's probably killed others, but so far, but yeah, he's made it his mission. But just last year, he showed where the body was. It was just bones. You know what I mean? Yep. But anyway, Mark Hardy, Revelation Mark Hardy, has made it his mission to make sure everybody knows that she's the devil. She's evil and she's a devil. So I've been on a mission to take his channel down, which YouTube seems to enjoy it. YouTube doesn't seem to bother them that he's running this murdered child. It's a child, you guys. Every day. And so every time I do a video about him, oh, by the way, Grace has been, I got to show you Grace's channel. Grace Styles in the chat here. She's been after him too. Here he is, just as you can see, he just put her picture up, calls her the devil 5 days ago. The devil, calls her the devil. That's her. Here it is. Here's another one. 12 days ago. Calls her evil. Yep. Yep. He's on a mission to let everybody know how evil this murdered child really was, and she deserved it. Her mom knew she was evil. Even the mom killed her because they knew how. Anyway, he's sick. And yeah. So yeah, if you're not, he blocks everybody too. But if you're not blocked, go over there and let him know that you don't appreciate what he's doing to this murdered child. And he's been doing it since she was murdered. See, her picture was on 48 hours. And that's where he, in fact, I'll show you. He got it off of 48 hours, and he's been running it through the. See, it says right there, 48 hours. He got it off the TV show. See right there, the 48 hours logo. That's where he got her picture off of. And he says it's his mission to tell everybody how evil she was and to let everybody know you should reach out to Troll Mafia. They handle stuff. Really? Troll Mafia, huh? It just trips me out that it looks like he's reliving the murder, but posting her pic. Yeah. As a matter of fact, you guys, I have him on video saying some sick stuff that he said it was a dream or a vision where he was murdering somebody and that he had in the back of his van and he killed her with somebody else and they put her in a cardboard box. And he sells these fantasies of killing these girls. And the strange thing is he lives in the Knoxville area. Well, he lives all away from Knoxville, but he goes to Knoxville every day. And guess what? They got a string of black girls missing. So anyway, but he has, damn near made murder confessions about killing little girls on his video. I have that. In fact, so I'm going to show you Grace. Grace, who's in the chat here, she also's made videos about him, exposing him. And so we're trying our best, you know what I mean? But yeah, if Troll Mafia, whoever can help stop this monster. Here's Grace's channel. She's trying to help too. She's trying to expose this rotten pig. He's a false prophet, really bad. Keeps saying that there's going to be a rapture in 2 months, rapture, and then 2 months comes and he says it's going to be another 2 months, and yeah. Anyway, I'm going to put a link to this is Grace's channel. Grace, who's in the chat, I'll put a link to her channel. Copy and put that in the chat too. Yeah. Trust me, it may take a minute to win their attention, but Troll Mafia loves to torment. Really? Thank you, Galex. I appreciate that. I'm going to have to check out their channel. Yeah, that's too far out there, yeah. But, yeah. Yeah, he you know, yeah, pretty bad. So I'm going to put a link to Grace's channel. Check out hers, give her a sub. She's trying to help expose this creep too. I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe YouTube allows him to do this. We've all reported him. Sandra, who's in the chat here, Sandra with the pink butterfly, she has flagged and reported his video literally thousands of times, and they don't do anything. There's Grace's channel in the chat there. You want to check out her channel. She's got some exposed videos on him too. We're doing the best we can. But Troll Mafia, huh? Is that what you said? Troll Mafia? Let me see his channel. Yeah. It's somebody, I mean, we're trying, but it takes more than us. Masshole Troll. Is this who it is? Oh, look, I'm already subscribed. Is that who it is? Masshole Troll Mafia? I'm already subbed. Look at that. I'm not getting any notification. Oh, look. The bell's not. I don't have the bell. That's why. I don't have the bell rung. No wonder I'm not getting any videos. There you go. We'll fix that. There we go. Well, thank you very much, Galax. I'm going to get on that. And you know what? I can hashtag him, Mastro Mafia, in my videos. Because if you do hashtag in somebody's name, you'll get a notification. I got a notification the other day. Somebody hashtagged me in something. And so you'll get a notification say, hey, this channel hashtagged you or mentioned you or whatever. So yeah, whatever it takes. Yeah, I'll check it out. Yeah, well, I guess the bell wasn't rung on it. I think they unring the bell sometimes. I don't know. He sure took tan in the face. He sure looked tan in the face when he returned from Florida. He was probably at the nudie beach on it. Yeah, he even said he was going, Sandra. He said, I don't tell you guys everything I do. Yeah, mentioning the nude beaches. Yeah, he is disgusting. Such a perv. Yeah, all he tells you about is his stinking thinking. I got problems with my stinking thinking. Hmm. Yep. And fantasies of killing people. You know what was really weird after that murder confession video? And I have that on tape. I'm almost thinking about going to the FBI because after that murder confession video, he all of a sudden had to get rid of that van like now. He had it for 8,000 on Craigslist. Me and Thomas watched it. Thanks, Galax. Um, yeah, he dropped the price on that van like 5 times in 2 days and took like 4 grand for it. He needed it gone now. And I even got a picture, you guys, in the back of the van. He had a rug in there and it looked like blood on the rug. And you guess what else is in the back of the van? In the picture, it was a hammer and a roll of duct tape. Remember that, Grace? I sent everybody a picture of it. In the ad, he's got the back door open. There's a rug with look like blood on it and a hammer and a roll of duct tape. And this guy hasn't worked. He won't fix anything. So what the heck is that? Or should I call you Ray? Oh, Ray of Sunshine? Yep. Yeah. Yeah, you remember that, Sandra. Yep. 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 Yeah, so anyway, yeah, no matter how much videos I do, the pig just doesn't get taken down. He's been living off one of his women subscribers now for over 5 years. Because he told her the rapture was going to happen in 3 weeks. And so he moved into her house and he never left. Either one, Ray, is fine. You're going to need to bug troll Mafia a bit to get their attention. They're busy, but it's really thank you, Galax, for the tip. I am going to. I am going to. Oh, thank you. You know what, you guys? If a few of us do that over at Troll Mafia, he might get his attention faster. Yeah, I'm gonna watch some of his videos and catch up because I must have unsubbed the bell. The bell must have got unrubbed. Yeah, check that out. But yeah, so freaking disgusting. You know, I need a bigger channel to do something. You know what? There was a channel that gave me a shout out and I got a whole bunch of more subs. So there's like a whole bunch of people saw my channel and unsubbed from him, which was great. It made him even madder. Of course, he kept showing the girl's picture more. Whenever he has a bad day or something goes wrong, he shows that murdered child and calls her the devil because that's what makes him feel better. During the pandemic, when so many people were looking for vehicles, who immediately drops the sale price of a car? Yeah, like 3 times each day. Oh, once the trolling starts, it will be a flood of it. Oh, really? Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And by the way, he does not have 5,000 subscribers. He does a 2 hour live stream. He's got like 1 or 2 people on there. He bought these subs, and I was showing people how he was buying these. He got 30 subs every night. And I was showing people when I was doing live streams. This is in 2018. January 2018, he started buying subs. He had 750 subs, and when you buy 30 subs a day, that is what is that, 30 16, that's like 900 subs a month. And so he was going up and up and up and up and up and up, and his viewers were going down down down. So he does not have 5,000 subscribers. He's probably realistically got 600 or 700 probably. So but they've been dropping like flies. And Yeah, I just can't believe he's still doing that to that murdered child. Yeah, he's so bent. Whenever he has a bad day, he runs that murdered child through the mud. And it makes him feel better. It's a video I just did. So yeah. Anyway, thank you, Galax. I will be doing that. He admitted to having 32 subscribers. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He said I really don't have that many. You know, he didn't say why he doesn't, but yeah, he said YouTube gave him all them extra subscribers so he could go live. That's bullcrap. You don't even need your subscribers. You can go on StreamYard and go live right now. You don't need subscribers to go live anymore. That's on YouTube. But you can go on StreamYard with as many subscribers as you want. I had to private my videos because a troll was stalking my channel, calling me Satanist for music. Yeah. That was probably a hardcore Christian. Yeah. And I just, it's so sad that, anyway, it's just so people are like that. And it's sad too because they drive people off of YouTube. People got good material and stuff like that, but it just takes one nasty troll to go around or a few nasty trolls to go around and discourage everybody. And yeah, I've had a lot of trolls, and I just don't even care anymore. I think it's kind of funny. Yeah, that's what they do. Trolls be trolling, you know. But yeah. Anyway, that's a good tip from Galax. That's the thing. The trolling could boost his views, so it's a fine line. Yeah, I know, and that's yeah. Yeah, but you know what? I think there's going to be more people who don't like what he's doing than likes what he's doing. Yeah. I mean, even when I do a video, I mean, I know it's probably going to send a person or two over there, but I don't care. And most people realize how awful he is pretty quickly, but there's some people that get trapped over there. You know who gets trapped on his channels? Old ladies. Like the same ladies that get scammed in phone scams, you know what I mean? Because they're lonely and they need someone to talk to, and then a phone solicitor calls and they're talking to you like your grandma, and pretty soon she's got her checkbook out and giving you you know your bank account number and all that, and old ladies can get scammed, man. They're just because they're lonely and vulnerable and old, and so that's what he's got. If anybody's there, they're looking and they're old people, old ladies, all 70 and up. Lonely old single women. Yep, that's what he's got. Every one of them. He's got like 4 or 5 people that show up, but every one of them is that 70. And it's been the same people for a while, like 4 or 5, and they're all 70 and older. Old women that don't know any better. Like I said, this is who the scammers target. Old ladies. You know what I mean? Just glad the phone rang, you know what I mean? For once. Yeah, it's too bad. The predators know what they're doing. They know who to target. You know what I mean? It's too bad. Sad, actually. Yeah, yeah, it's funny. And have you guys ever looked on Social Blade? You can tell by looking on Social Blade that the numbers are not right. I mean, you can see the views. You can see, I mean, you can see that he's obviously buying. And sometimes all of a sudden have like 50 thumbs up. You can tell. You can buy thumbs up too. He's made a fortune off the one. Yeah, yeah. He has spent. So one of his subscribers was a vulnerable old lady that lived out in Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, Martha's Vineyard. Well, he got his foot in her door, saying that the rapture was 3 weeks away. He crashed his vehicle, and he ended up in her house. And he's been with her ever since. And she sold her house in Martha's Vineyard, moved to the hills of Tennessee in a shack with him, And that $650,000 she got for her house is gone, pissed away. He's taken 3 trips to Israel, each one like 2-3 months at a time, living like a rock star, like Aerosmith. You know what I mean? Oh, you making popcorn? All right. But anyway, they had a big fight at the gas station not too long ago, and the camera was rolling, and she was pounding her fist on the back of the trunk because she pays for everything. She pays for. Anyway, she's mad. You'll troll this guy? Oh yeah. So all her money's gone, you guys. She's living in a shack. Now they're scamming people, scamming their they just scammed people out of $15,000. Now, right after they scammed the people out of $15,000, he took a trip to Florida. He just got back yesterday. After he scammed that money, he took a yeah. I am his #1 cult member. Really? That'd be funny, Galax. That'd be funny. And by the way, he does watch this video. He does watch my videos to see what I'm going to say about him. And then he will, like tomorrow, he will be talking about contradictions in the Bible. If I'm talking about Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, he'll talk about that tomorrow. Oh, give you his link? Oh, no problem. Can do. You might have to get a different account. He'll probably see you. Yeah, he's a slippery one. All right, here's a link to his channel, Revelation Mark Hardy. Copy. Yeah, so now she's broke and she's living in every time she complains that all her money's gone, he says she's of the world and she doesn't believe that Jesus is coming. So he'll shame her for complaining about him spending all her money. I have shut down call centers, so a cult leader is a treat. Oh, cool. Oh, there it is. It's all yours. There it is, Revelation Mark Hardy. He goes, okay, so here's his day. Here's what you're going to see when you go to his channel. He gets up about 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3 a.m., maybe 1 a.m., and he takes the car that his subscribers paying for, a leased car, and he gets in the car about 2 in the morning, and he goes out to God knows where. And then when the sun comes up about 6 in the morning, he's waiting outside a restaurant because he eats in a restaurant about an hour from his house every day down in Knoxville. So he drives down to Knoxville to go to a restaurant every day for breakfast about an hour away. And then after the restaurant, he goes and he drives all the way back another hour back by his house. And he sits in the Dairy Queen parking lot where he does a video for about an hour or two, telling you that the end of the world is going to happen any second and we're all going to die. And then he goes back, drives about another hour and goes to the most expensive Publix, which is an expensive grocery store, about another hour away. And he spends $75. Now, mind you, he's already eaten up breakfast, $30 breakfast. Then he goes, after driving many hours in the morning, then he goes to Publix and he goes to grocery shop where he spends $75 a day. So he goes in and spends $75 at Publix to get lunch meat and some milk and whatever else, snacks. Then he goes out and has lunch at another restaurant. And after he has lunch, he goes, well, usually through drive-thrus, fast food, and then he goes home. And then he goes to sleep. He goes to sleep about 6 o'clock at night, and he wakes up at midnight and does it all over again. So he fills his tank twice a day, which he tops it off $30. So he spends $60 a day in gas, $60 a day in eating out, $75 a day in groceries, and what else, Grace? He does this every single day. Every single day. Spends about $300-400 a day just dry. Oh, and then he has unlimited car washes because he spends $35 a month or $40 a month on unlimited car washes. So every day he drives to the car wash, and yeah, that's his day. Meanwhile, he's complaining about everyone and everything he sees. Exactly. So during the videos, everybody that walks by is horrible. They're of the devil. He runs the murdered child through the mud on a regular basis, tells everybody she's the devil. Yeah, he's complaining about everyone and everything he sees, tries to convince you that he's not part of the world. He has nothing to do with anything of those. Yes, he's not in the world. The whole time he's telling you he's not in the world, he's doing this. And then they just scammed somebody out of $15,000 because they said their electricity is broke. And so after they got the electricity, guess what? He goes on a trip to Florida for a week, doing nothing but going to the beach. Nude beaches. Yeah. They don't have money to fix their electric. And by the way, what was wrong with electric? Nothing. They've got a spare bunkhouse with that nobody uses and nobody's allowed to go in. But somehow that spare bunkhouse needs, which is like a 10 by 10 shack, it needs central air, and it needs a $6,000 generator for during the tribulation. Because during the tribulation, God's going to lead people there that are left behind. So the left behind people need a $6,000 generator and central air for the little shack. Really? Do you know what it costs to run central air on a generator every day? That's about $100, maybe more. Your 500-gallon propane tank will be gone in about a week doing that. But they scammed somebody out of $15,000 so they could put a generator and central air into a tiny little shack for the left behind people. I can't believe somebody gave him that money, but they did. And then a week later, and by the way, as he's spending $300 or $400 a day driving around eating. That's his job. Drive around bitching and eating. In the meantime, somebody hands him $15,000. They did the work on the bunkhouse. Funny how it was. Yeah, it was fine before. As a matter of fact, you guys, this bunkhouse, they just had it built. They just built the addition on it last year. So how does it already? They said the wiring is all wrong. Yeah, it was fine before. He's had so many scams. You know what I was just thinking today? Has Cynthia reported all this to the IRS? They got 15,000 this time. They got what, 25,000 the last time for a left behind campground. Yeah, they were going to open up a campground for the left behind. So they got $25,000 for this left behind campground. And then he said he needed another 10,000 for the septic, which was never put in. Then he said the septic was put in, but we need to move it now. Who puts in the septic and moves it a month later? It says not a potted plant. You can't just move it. Anyway, it turns out there never was a septic there. Bullcrap. They're hooked up to city. Yeah, there are crazy people. Who would give them money like that? For the left behind to have central air in a shack? I mean, who are these people? Hopefully none of them live around me. That's just insane. I didn't want to know somebody that would do that. First of all, who's got $15,000 to hand anybody on YouTube? You can never believe a word that comes out of that prophet. Yeah, prophet with an F. In the meantime, he's making sure that child, Alexis Murphy, the murdered child, make sure her family gets their child run through the mud. Because, it's not painful enough to have your daughter kidnapped, raped, and murdered and not know where she is for years, and then finally find out she's dead, and then find out she was murdered by a serial killer, and then find out her teeth and her hair are all over his camper and blood. But that wasn't enough. You got to have Mark Hardy running her through the mud and make sure everybody knows she deserved it. Like, what kind of a sick monster? And you know what? That lady that he lives with, that he's sucking up, she agrees. She thinks that murdered. She's paying for those pictures to be printed out so he could run her through the mud. She agrees that Alexis Murphy should be murdered. You can't be right in the head to go. No, both of them are sick in the head. Both of them. You know what? You don't live with somebody like that unless you're just like that yourself. None of us would live with somebody like that. I'd say, oh, hell no. I'd call the police on them. But no, she's just as sick. Yeah. The meantime, yeah, scam people, the left behind campground. And then they closed the left behind because the city got on them because they're idiots. And then within what, 6 months after getting the money, they sold everything and didn't give no money back. They said, well, we gave the money to a lady in France who was single mom. She needed it. Well, no, you're supposed to refund that money to all the people you scammed. No, they didn't. Don't worry, we gave it to we got all the money back, but we gave it to this lady that in Paris that needed it. She is single mom, and her kid eats special food. So we had to give it to the mom that needs special food for her kid. Well, that's not what they gave you the money. They didn't give you money so you could give it to some lady in Paris, France for a kid that needs special food. Yeah, according to them, it's wrong to care for animals. Yeah, they got mad because somebody was trying to take care of a, I don't know, stray dog or something like that, and that's worldly. Did they show the generator when they bought it with them? No, no, we haven't seen the generator. We got to take his word for it. And who the hell needs a generator and a central air in a shack when for the left behind people? What left behind people? What a scam. Left behind, they need central air and a $6,000 generator for a shack that's smaller than my garage? Really? And nobody's, by the way, nobody's allowed in that shack until after the tribulation. It's for the left behind people after the rapture. Okay, so in other words, nobody's going to use it at all. I think they're getting ready to sell it and they're just trying to scam more money. I don't know. But yeah, they scammed another. So is she reporting all this? What, she got 50 grand now in 2 years? Has she reported this $50,000 to the IRS, or is it that bullshit too? But he says it's all going to burn. It's all going to burn. That means the shack is going to, right. Then he's telling everybody all your stuff's going to burn up in the tribulation. Well, isn't that shack in the generator going to burn up too? None of it makes sense. No. In the meantime, he's going to Florida, living, like I said, like Mick Jagger. On vacations constantly, eating out 3 times a day. He's gone from like 200 pounds to 500 pounds. He's like a wood tick ready to explode. And now, and guess what? In the last year, now he's got diabetes, high blood sugar. So he's out of control diabetic. He's now on high blood pressure medicine, high cholesterol, blood thinners. It's like every health problem there is. Good. Good. Yeah. That's what happens when you gorge yourself uncontrollably. It's like he's at an all you can eat buffet all day, every day for free, and he just can't stop himself. You know? I told him that too when she first brought him in the house. You guys saw I went on a sock account and I said, Cynthia, you're overfeeding him. And he's gonna get sick and die. And what did he do? Now he's very sick right now. I told her 5 years ago, you're overfeeding him. He's gonna die because he can't stop what he's doing. And it's like at the zoo. You feed the elephant. If you feed it too much, it's gonna eat and explode. And that's what's happening. She didn't listen. Anyway, good. She was overfeeding him before she took. Yeah, that's true. So she brings him to the honey stand to buy him some honey. Guess what he bought? Do you buy a little cute little teddy bear thing that you squeeze and get honey out of it? Nope. Did she buy him a pint? Nope. Did she buy him a quart? Nope. She bought him a case of 24, what are those big jars? Half pint or half gallons? Whatever. The biggest jar that they sell. It was like, whatever, half gallon. 2 cases of that. Like, dang, that's like enough to run a restaurant or a boarding house for like a year. And he went through that like in a month? Anyway, good. His gluttony's catching up to him. At least something is. Yeah, so did he recently. Yeah, he just got another 15,000 from some fool that because they said that, that little shack, that the bunkhouse, he came on and said that he needs 15,000 to put a generator in it and central air, a $6,000 generator. That's like something you put on a grocery store. Like, what? Anyway, some idiot, yeah, just gave him 15,000. And guess what? The next week he went to Florida for a week. Just got back yesterday. Yep. Can't believe it. He's trying to start another. Yeah, he will start another PayPal. He's too fat for the rapture. That's why he needs the left behind. You know what? Galax is funny because he's been having dreams that a forklift has been lifting him up. Well, that's what he needs for the rapture, a forklift. He's having forklift dreams that he's being lifted up with the forklift. Well, listen, if you're having dreams that it needs a forklift to lift you up, the doctor just told you you're morbidly obese. Yeah, Jesus can't pull his heavy. No, he can't. Here he is. That is his. There's his profile. Yeah. There he is. Yeah. Yeah. And some stupid person gave it to him. Yes, Sandra. Somebody gave it to him. Yeah, that's electric. And you know what? He claims that work that they just had done last year, that they begged the money for last year, wasn't good enough. No, he said he lost 7 pounds, but he gained it back. Now, 7 pounds, that was a trip to the toilet for him, all right? Let's get real. Yeah, 7 pounds. Yeah, it went in one flush. He would break the golden. Yeah. The streets of gold, yeah. Yeah, I don't think they're going to hold him. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, that's him. And as a matter of fact, in today's video, he in today's video, he's doing his video and he hones in on this. He sees this homeless lady. Yeah, he sees this homeless lady and he hones in on her. And all he could tell her is how she could go to hell for being married twice or something. I'm going to show you this. He stood there and watched this. He's going to give this lady a ride because he just wants to know where she's staying. You know what I mean? He can go maybe talk to her later. Yeah. But the whole time is watch. So yeah, he's helping this. I was thinking, this thing doesn't go. No. So he's helping this homeless lady. He's going to give her a ride, okay? He probably wants to hit on her, probably see if she's got dope. But anyway, he's on camera, so he's got to do this. All right, there he is. Hi-oh! And he's complaining because she's said she just left her husband. As a matter of fact, check this out. This lady knows more. Yeah, but he won't help her get the luggage in the car. He'll put his hands in the pockets. Here, so look at.
You ain't supposed to be doing that.
This lady's got enough problems, and this loser hones in on watch. Watch him stand there with his hands in his pocket. Yeah. What?
My last one.
This poor lady's on the run from her abusive husband, and Mark sees her and asks if she wants a ride. She's like, yeah. But Mark's got to tell her she's wrong for leaving the abusive husband, but she's got to correct him. This lady, homeless lady, is going to correct Mark. She knows the Bible better than him.
You know, even like if you're divorced and you're living with somebody, that's an abomination. You ain't supposed to be doing that.
Nobody said that's an abomination, you liar.
I'm just saying, you're not supposed to be doing it.
Look at the belly on that beast.
Let me put it this way. It says, don't deceive yourself. Yeah, to get what you want in this world. Well, even being divorced doesn't make it right to see somebody.
Says the guy who's got prostitutes in his car every night. Go ahead, Mark.
Right now, we have too many other things worried about.
Look at how he backs up, puts his hands in his pockets, won't help her. Won't help her.
I'm saying to marry and be married is wrong.
Well,
You're not supposed to.
only in the instance of adultery and abuse,
Right.
which 15 years of it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
She just corrected him. Ha ha.
She was very adamant about, waiting and
Yeah.
hoping that it'll happen swiftly, but
Yep.
it'll happen when
It does say that. You're right.
God's
Okay.
ready for it.
Yep, she's
It'll
right.
happen, but until then, we just gotta kind of keep our heads
Do you think he'd get his off his ass and help her? Nope. She's doing all this herself.
together and not let this nightmare.
I've seen you coming down here with all that stuff I'm doing.
Saw her coming down with all that stuff, but he doesn't help.
I've seen you coming down here with all that stuff I'm doing. Okay.
Awesome.
Don't help Mark. Listen, I'm a 60-year-old lady, and you know what? I would have grabbed that bag from her and threw it up there myself. Me. I would never stand there and watch somebody struggle with something, and I'm an old lady. You can imagine a man sitting there with his hands in his pocket while this homeless lady's doing this. Yeah, I saw you with all that stuff. That must suck.
Okay.
Awesome. So much.
Oh, he's yelling at her. It's not right to leave your husband.
Pick and choose what clothes you're wearing.
Unreal, huh? Yeah.
Like I said, if you turn to the Lord with all your heart and you actually give your heart to Him, I wouldn't even be worried about marrying anybody. This is over. You got everything?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even worry about getting remarried. She's not. She's running from her abusive husband, and he's warning her not to get remarried. She's got a little bit bigger problems right now. Living on the side of the road with a box of cardboard. You idiot. Hope she made it to her destination. Yeah, you know what? He just wants to know where she's staying. He's a perv. Yeah, she corrected him and he got louder. Yeah. Don't try to get remarried now. He's a waste, in my opinion. I can't see anything redeeming, but yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's what you get. Sat there. Now he's doing this because he's on camera. He's got to make himself look like he's doing something. This is the first time we've probably in 5,000 videos he's had, maybe twice he's helped somebody out, and it not really helped him out. It's for show. It's all for show. Yeah. It's for show. Yeah, he does pray in the week. Darn right he does. The old people and the homeless people. Yeah, he's the first one there to try to get something. Yeah. Yeah, to look like a hero, exactly. People say, wow, you see Mark helped out that homeless lady. Yeah, he sat with his hands in his pocket while she threw his luggage in a car that he did not buy with gas he didn't pay for. And he's got nothing else to do. So what's the big deal about helping somebody? The dev had no voice. Yep. 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 So yeah, he's perfect target for the token. Oh yeah. Good. Oh man. Yeah. I mean, as you can see, I mean, supposedly he bought these subs. He bought 4,500 subs. Yeah, it is all a show. 5,000 subs. All right. So after 2 hours, hour and a half. After an hour and a half, he's got one person coming in, and this is a 70-year-old lady who's trying to dress skimpy for Mark. This is his one subscriber that comments. After an hour and a half, he only had one person come in, and that's the 70-year-old lady, one of his little fans there. That's all it is. If you got 5,000 people, how come after an hour and a half you only got one person? Sometimes none. The numbers ain't making sense. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's all for show. The woman had her hands full. First thing Mark did was toss a Bible at her. He didn't let her put things down. Yeah, because that's what she needs. Another thing to carry. You know what I mean? Telling her not to get remarried. Holy crap. She's just in the middle of running from somebody, her husband, of 15 years. She said, well, you can't get remarried. Like, really? Is this the time for that? Really? Yeah, I doubt she's about to go down the aisle with somebody right now. So shut up. She got her hands full. Yeah. Anyway, disgusting. Yeah, I hope the trolls get after him. Yeah, he preys on the weak. He just bragged the other day that he hasn't worked in 10 years since he's been on YouTube. Because ever since he got on YouTube, he's latched on to women, and he's been living off women on YouTube for the whole time. Yeah. Yeah, we saw. I proved he was buying them because I was doing live streams all the way, well, since he was or before he was. But yeah, whether you help someone, don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. It's not supposed to be sure. Exactly, Galax. Exactly. But he does. And since he never helps anybody, he's got to pretend he's helping somebody. I mean, you can go back to any of his videos and see the numbers do not add up. He doesn't get but maybe 200 or 300 views per video, nowhere near 5,000 plus. Yeah. Yeah. And we saw every night he had 30 at 8 o'clock every night. There was 30 he had 30 subscribers added 8 o'clock every night when I was doing my live streams. And I showed everybody, look, while we're on here, he just got 30 every night at 8 o'clock. He got 30. Well, that is, let's see, 10 days is 300 subscribers. 30 days is 900. So it's 900 subscribers. So in like 5-6 months, he was at 5,000, and then he had to stop buying them because people were saying, wow, you just got 4,000 subscribers, but he had like all of a sudden nobody watching him. So people were starting to ask questions. That's why he stopped at 5,000. And then the other day, like Grace said, he said, I don't think I really have 5,000. I think I got like 30 something. Because he's, like I said, he only got one person maybe in there. Doesn't make sense. It's obvious. He's you can buy subs, you can buy likes, and you can buy views. I mean, yeah, none of it makes sense. You can even buy people to comment. I mean, yeah. But he's got that lady that has gone through $650,000 with him in 5 years. 3 trips to Israel. He just got back. In fact, he just got back a few months ago from a 3-month trip or whatever, and thought he spent more than 15,000 on this last trip, and then what? A few months later, he's begging people for 15,000 to fix the electric, to put in a $6,000 generator and another $5,000 central air unit on a shack for the left behind. I mean, am I in insanity land, and am I in a mental hospital right now? Are these mental patients? And is this even real? Who does this? This is something you'd hear in a mental hospital. These kind of ideas. Yeah, I'm going to have a shack for the left behind. I'm going to put $15,000 generator and central air in it for the left behind. What's it going to run off? I don't know. We're not worried about that. Trust in the Lord. Trust in the Lord to run it. Oh, check, please. Yeah, I want out. I can't even believe people. Like I said, I don't know where they get these people. Not even in reality. You know what I mean? Anyway. Wow. You know, in the meantime, there really are people that could have used that money. That $15,000 that whoever gave it to them. You know how many people are getting evicted, or they lost their job, or I mean, there's so many real realities. There's children without food. There's children without all kinds of things. There's so many good causes. He could have given 15 different people $1,000, whoever that was. I don't know who gave him the 15,000 for this left behind shack. But just think, you could have helped 15 people with $1,000 and changed their lives forever. You know what I mean? But no. And now what? Now what? It's an empty shack with $15,000 worth of generators and central air. Okay. And here's the thing, you guys. If it ever is a time where United States gets attacked by China and Russia and whatever, it could happen. I mean, it happened to other countries. It's a rise and fall of every nation. It happens. I mean, and if it ever does happen, United States, where we all get attacked and we run for our lives, guess what? Nobody's going to be sitting on their big buckets of food, peeking out their windows and watching the tribulation go by. All right? Because when your country gets attacked, you grab what you can and you run. You're a refugee, okay? Everybody has to leave where you're at. Look at any war. Any country that's been invaded. Nobody sits in their house and locks their door with big buckets of food and stays there. You grab what you can and you're on your feet. You're refugees. You ever watch TV? You ever see these refugees? People are driven out of their, it's bombed. It's their airplanes dropping bombs. You're getting... The military's coming in, tanks. No, you all run for your lives. And you go in groups and you just take off. These people who stock up food, yeah, you do. You head for the hills. Even as a matter of fact, you know what? Yeah, you live in a tent. You live in a tent right now? Well, I really wish you the best, Alex. I was homeless at one time. And I feel bad for anybody that's homeless. I really do. I mean, but yeah, so look at you, Galax. If somebody had you $1,000, listen, you might, I mean, you know how life-changing somebody that's homeless or living in a tent or just homeless. You know what a vehicle could do for that person? Is you maybe $1,500, $2,500 van or something. You would have wheels. You'd have, you could get a job. You could do this. You could have shelter. You could do blah, 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 blah. You know how many people that would have helped? Maybe not you, Galax, but I'm just saying the average person who is homeless right now, they would give anything for a vehicle. They would give anything for, a hotel room. They would give anything for, $15,000. You could have given somebody a place to live for a year. For $15,000, somebody could have had a place to rent for a year for that money. Somebody could have had an efficiency for a year with that money, lived off of it. True, 15 grand could have bought a lot of groceries for a lot of families. That's right. Yeah, head for the hills. As a matter of fact, in the book of Revelation, which does refer to the fall of Jerusalem, but if say it's, you don't think so, say you think it's going to be in the future, the fall of Jerusalem, all right, they ran for the hills. Why? Because the Romans invaded them. Do you think they went in their house and shut their door and peeked out the window while they ate their buckets of ready wise food? No, they ran for the hills. And that's what it tells you. If you're on the rooftop, don't even come get your stuff. Head for the hills. Everybody heads for the hills. The book of Revelation tells you at the first sign of trouble, head for the hills. It never told you to stock up on food. People say, well, Joseph stocked up on food. Yeah, guess what? Joseph was part of the military. He was government. He was like the vice president of the United States. He was second in charge of a country. All right. So Joseph, yeah, he stocked up warehouses full of grain. Why? Because he's the head of the government. That's what militaries do. They stock up warehouses full of grain. You're not the military. You're not Joseph. You're not in that position. Yeah, dang generate. Yeah, for $15,000. Yeah, right. Chase says that's a military or martial rule. When under attack, head for the hills, seek shelter on higher ground. Exactly. Nobody goes in their house and shuts a door and has, buckets of ready wise food to live off. That's bull crap. Police needs to check their little bunkhouse. Might be full of children. I think so too. They need to check his freezer. Who knows who's in there? That's right, Ray of Sunshine. Yeah. Chase and hide a Galax. 15,000. Good hand. Could have, fed a lot of hungry people. That's right. Like I said, it could have taken up somebody off the street. Listen, there's a lot of places, especially smaller communities. You can get a place for $1,000 or less a month. That's 12,000. That's a year's rent for somebody and groceries or whatever else. I mean, it could have gone a long way, but whoever did that, shame on them. There's so many people in need. There's so many homeless people right now. There's a lot of kids out there that could have been fed with that money. Yeah, warm bed. Yeah. 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 And you know what else they could have done for that 15? You know what Mark and Cynthia could have done? Very, very easily. Well, first of all, they could stay home and quit eating out 3 times a day, literally, and spending $75 in groceries just for him a day. A day. $75 on top of 3 meals in restaurants. But let's put that aside. Mark just started getting, remember, he hates the government, they're devils, but yet he just went down and got his Social Security. So now on the fourth Wednesday of every month, Mark gets $475 from the government for his retirement. Okay. So why didn't they take out a loan for $15,000 and use Mark's newfound $475 to make those payments? In 2 years, they could have paid that $15,000 electric off. But no, they don't want to dip into their spending money. They have the resources to take at least 8 people off the streets right now. Are they doing that? No, they're not. You're right. Yeah, they got a bunkhouse with 8 bunks in it and central air and generator. Let somebody live in that thing. Don't forget, Casey is also a dog killer. I still believe he did poison a dog. He said he sprayed Raid in the neighbor's dog's ears. He took the neighbor's dog and sprayed Raid in his ears so he wouldn't get fleas. Man, if that was my dog, I would have came back with a baseball bat. That's why I spent the last few years living off the grid in the mountains, because I felt something was coming. Turned out to be COVID. Yeah, you're right, Galax. I felt something was, that's why I live up here out in the middle of nowhere. I felt something was coming, and it was COVID. But you know what? They pull something every 19 years. Every 19 years, they pull something big. A 9/11 is every 19 years. And yeah, 2020, the last one was in 9/11, September 11th. It was in 2001. And 19 years later was 2020. So they pull something really big according to the moon cycles every 19 years. Yep. Go out and eat out. Yeah. And go on vacations and in hotel rooms and everything like that. They could have easily paid for that $15,000. But they can't live like a rock star if they do that. Yeah. I mean, 3 times a day eating sit down restaurants. He says he's hungry all the time. There's something wrong with him. He's hungry all the time. That's called a food addiction. You see, if you're hungry all the time, it's like wanting dope all the time or alcohol. Okay, alcohol starts out with, a drink here and there, and then they drink more, and then they drink, and then they want drinks all the time. Eventually, they have to have a drink all the time. They always want a drink. That's like a food addict. You eat and eat and eat, and he's at an all-you-can-eat buffet all day, every day, unlimited for free. She will pay anything he wants. So, I mean, that's what he does. He goes and sit down in restaurants 3 times a day, and that is the sin of Sodom. Do you know what the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah was? It wasn't homosexuality at all. Those people weren't homosexuals. We've gone over that. The sin of Sodom and Gomorrah was wastefulness and gluttony, just like him, and only caring about yourself and hating foreigners and anybody else. And that's him to a T. That's why I spent. Oh yeah, yeah, cravings. That's right. Your cravings till you get cravings all the time. He's a diabetic. Oh, he does the sugar. Yep. And yeah, selfishness. That's it. That's exactly what the sins of Sodom was. Selfishness. The first clue should be when you need pre-breakfast before breakfast and a snack before lunch. Yeah, exactly what he says he does. He eats his bowl of oatmeal when he wakes up, and that's enough to get him to the restaurant. And he sits outside the restaurant till they open. Then he has breakfast. Then he goes and he goes grocery shopping. Then after grocery shopping, he goes out to lunch. And after lunch, he hits the second store and does a video, and then goes home and sleeps and eats all his $75 worth of food. In the meantime, he's pissed through 2 tanks of gas. So yeah, gluttony and wastefulness, selfishness, laziness. Trying to tell everybody it's the tribulation because a tomato, it costs $2.50 for a sliced tomato, but no. First of all, he's gone to the most expensive place, which is Publix, and he's having them slice the tomato. Listen, I can get a tomato for 80 cents and slice it myself. Or how about better yet? Right now, I've got a counter filled with tomatoes right now because I grew them myself. I have more tomatoes. I've got a bushel full I just threw in the weeds because I have too many tomatoes. They came in too fast, too many. I can them, I do everything else, but you know what I mean? Yeah, slothfulness is what it is. Yeah, how about grow a tomato? And if you can't grow a tomato, if it's wintertime, buy one and cut it yourself. Yeah, it's going to be $3 for a tomato if somebody cuts it up for you and you go to the most expensive place you can find. But, you know what I mean? I guess it is what it is. Yeah, and he listens to these streams every night and make sure that we know he listens because he'll mention something from this stream tomorrow. And good. I'm glad he heard everything. Hope he knows he's got some trolls coming at him down the road here. Anyway, guys, I'll probably wrap it up, get off of here. I'm just annoyed to make another video right now, so I better stop here before I end up making another video tonight. But yeah, that's where I spend most of my time and energy on this channel. But I try to keep the other channel going and try to, keep warning other people about him. I'm not ever going to stop. Oh my goodness, I thought I just saw a ladybug. I thought it was on the screen. It literally is a real ladybug. Anyway, but I'll wrap it up. Say goodnight. Yeah. Anyway, so anyway, that's him. And but anyway, thank you guys for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. 10 thumbs up, awesome. The only thing Mark Hardy can grow is his thumb. That's right, and he's done it. That's actually one thing he did do good. He, I don't know, out about a yardstick now. Started like a foot out, now it's like 3 feet out. So that's one thing he does accomplish. Yeah. And you know what they say is, his God is his God is his belly. His belly is his God. That's what the Bible says. You make your belly your God, and yeah, and you worship your belly and concentrate on your belly all day. Yeah, it will grow. Faith hasn't grown, but the belly sure did. Dang. And yeah, that's yeah, just getting out of the car. Thanks for the welcome. Nice to meet you. Oh, nice to meet you too. Thanks for coming in, Ray of Sunshine. Nice to see you tonight. So good night to you. So good night to Ray of Sunshine. Yeah, all right, cool. Thanks for coming in, Galax. Nice to see you. Have a good sleep tonight. Nice to see you tonight. Good night to Che. Good night to Galax. Good night to Sandra. Good night to Ray of Sunshine. Good night to Grace. And good night to that. I'm gonna say good night to that lady that said something mean to me. Where is she? Where's the lady that said something mean? Oh, she didn't delete it, did she? Oh, dang it. Did she? I think it was a lady. Did she? Oh, she didn't take her comment down, did she? You know what? It's just further back. Oh, no, it's way at the beginning. It only goes back an hour. So anyway, I can't see. Whoever that was that said something mean to me. Good night to you too. And yeah, God bless you too. Yeah, God bless you all. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you guys back. Anyway, thanks for coming in. We'll continue this tomorrow night. We'll go through another 20 contradictions or so. Anyway, until then, Deborah, Brandon. I don't know. Anyway, all right, love you guys. Good night. Thanks for coming in, and ciao.